What's going on, everybody? Salute to everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today. Let me make sure this Wi-Fi is turned off. There we go. I should have did that right before, but of course we forget. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well. Salute to you guys. Thank you for being patient in the chat as always. As I like to say, happy Saturday. Let's see what we're doing here. If you're on the East Coast, the weather is not too bad. It's definitely fall-like. It's a high of 77. Barometric pressure is coming in through the I don't know. It's 68 degrees currently. But yeah, man, so we got to see how long this is going to last. As you can see, I got a hoodie on, right? Let's see if I can make it through this show with this hoodie because it's not quite hoodie season yet. I think I'm at some point I'm gonna have to take it off because I'm already starting to get a little warm. I'm like, maybe not. But yeah, not too bad. Looks like another sunny day for today, maybe 2 rainy days, and then more sun for the next 4 days after that. So not too bad. We've been dealing with a lot of soggy weather on the East Coast, especially New York City area. So hopefully it takes a chill pill for a minute. Anyway, I know you guys are excited about fall, probably putting up your fall decorations. Halloween's next month. People like to get that stuff done early, before you know it, it'll be Halloween, then it'll be Thanksgiving, then it'll be Christmas. Like time flies. It's just nuts. So anyway, I got the morning cup of Joe or Joanne. It's back, baby, but it's the hot version. I can't do the cold version. We talked about that last week. Let's take notes, guys. Anyway, shout out to the chat. I hope you guys are doing good. Let me do a quick rundown before I hit the intro and bring in our guest for today's show. And obviously, the panel will be open, guys. So whoever wants to jump in and chime in, by all means, you're welcome. Walter Blackman's in the building. Salute, my guy, Walter, as always. Appreciate you. Dwayne Dennis in the building. Salute. What's good? Okay. Yeah, I will star that. We'll get into that. Yeah. This is good, Dwayne Dennis. You're asking a lot of the questions that most Knicks fans are, well, not most, but some Knicks fans are asking. And so it's good to tackle this because we can't forget who this team is and who coaches this team. Parrish Duggar is in the building. Salute. What's good? Appreciate you as always, Parrish. Let me see here. I'll star that as well. Andy's in the building. Always good to see you, Andy. Angel Torres is here. Salute. What's good, Angel? Hope you're doing well. And your family as well. Walter Blackman again. Hey, what's going on, Walter? Mega NYK. What's up, Cormega? Salute, brother. Hope you're doing well. Travel Vibes is in the building. Salute. Animal Lex is here. Salute. Pierre Moise. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Good to see you back in the chat. Salute. Billy Goat is in the building. What's good? Salute. Let me see here. Knicks One Today is in the building. Salute. My guy Pudge is in the building. What's going on? Knicks are nice. Kareem Grant is in the building. Salute. What's good, twin? Appreciate you. Stream Elements is here, folks. Listen, show can't start until Stream Elements arrives. I don't know everything they do. I'm sure they, it feels like, there's no exclusivity with Stream Elements. I feel like they're on every show, but it's cool. It's all right. The biggest supporter in the Knicks community, Stream Elements, folks. Delano Steele Jr. in the building. What up, DSJ? Salute, my brother. Yeah, the only expense for Halloween is getting my boys' costumes. I hear that. The only one thing I regret in life, because it looks so much fun, when you see it on TV or in a movie, or if you hear your friends go to one. I never got to go to an adult Halloween party and do the whole thing. You know what I mean? I never did it, but whatever. Julian Blum is in the building. Salute. What's good? Jay from PR is here. Salute. Good to see you. All right. So let's do what we usually do. You know what I mean? Let's put this link in the Chizat. And let's hit the intro, and then we will come back and get into the show with our guests to start it off. And like I said, you guys are more than welcome to jump on, and we can chop it up today as usual here on Know the Ledge. Oh, you guys, I always forget you guys are watching me. This is crazy. Anyway, without further ado, get my guy Andy in the building. Andy, it is in the building. What's good, Andy?
What up, Ron? Happy to be on with you. Busy Saturday from the morning. Got everything done so I can, pour a beer in the glass and have a nice chat with you.
There you go. That's all I love. I love to see it. Love to hear it. I wish I would have started earlier. So today, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys out there. A lot of times I got a lot of stuff going on that I'm trying to get done before the show starts on Saturdays. And then there may be other things I gotta do to help out with the misses and stuff. But today was not that day. I'll be honest. I went to bed at 5 a.m. I was tired as hell. Got up a little late today, so after doing what I had to do, then I had to run to the store, come back. That's why I'm late today. So this one's on me fully, guys. Sorry about that, but we here now. We rocking. Yeah, but that's good. And Andy just puts me to shame because he an early riser. He got everything done. He's chilling and relaxing, maxing out, cooling out, sipping out. You know the song. Come on, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Come on, everybody, or whatever. Anyway, but that's good, Andy. I'm glad to hear it, and I know you take care of business, man. I know you do. And I knew something told me. I said, "Nah, probably will see Andy tomorrow." I don't know what it was that made me feel like Andy was going to make an appearance today, but that's okay. That's okay. This is what we like, Andy. I'm glad we can bring him out. Bring him out, man. We enjoy the conversation, bro. All right. Well, listen. To start off, let me just say that I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. For whatever reason, time has sped up, right? We're in September, fall, Halloween's around the corner, but the Knicks season has slowed down. I'm telling you, I thought this thing is right around the corner. It's still dragging to me. I know it's getting close, but I'm dying right now. I just need to see some Knick preseason basketball, some training camp stuff. I need all of that. And it's just not quite there yet, but it's okay. It's all right. We're getting there. John Talento's in the building. Salute, John. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning into the show. I think I'm gonna start off with the Knicks' huge signing. I think this is the way to go, and you know what I mean, because this is going to upset the balance. Let me see if I can spell this guy's name right. I don't know. I don't think that's it. All right, let me do my due diligence, man. I don't want to be butchering people's names. Hold on. RC. Hey, I did spell it right. See, when you type it a couple different times, that's what happens. Oh, let's go. All right. I'm proud of myself, guys. I know this might not be nothing to you, but for me, this is a lot. All right. Yeah. That's it. That's right. Oh, you know what? Let me jazz it up a little bit because that ain't it. Here we go. Let me make it like that. There we go. Ryan Arcidiacono is back, folks. Let's go. Let's go. You see, and I know this is funny to me because a lot of Knicks fans didn't think this was going to be the year. They didn't think the Knicks were going to go out there and do anything. Oh, but you were wrong. Ryan Arcidiacono is back, folks. Let's go. Let's go.
The missing piece, right, Ron?
That's right. The missing piece. You know what? This deserves a little bit more. Ryan Arcidiacono is back, folks. Yes. Yes. Let's go. Okay. All right. Now that that's out my system, Andy. How are you feeling about the reacquisition of Ryan, extending the Villanova boys by one? What's your thoughts on this?
Well, Ron, I got two main things. I'm not surprised that you got the surname right, because it's like the third or fourth time the Knicks signed him. So probably this was the report, like 3 or 4 times before already. So that's one. The other thing is, what I noticed is that Taj Gibson resigned with the Wizards, and literally a couple of hours later, the Knicks PR staff came out and said that we resigned Ryan, right? So I'm at least maybe hoping that they were talking with Taj as a backup plan at the power forward position, because I was thinking that if you want to plug the 15th guy on the roster, it should be a power forward. Because we got Isaiah Roby, we got Nathan Knight, we got Jericho Sims that might get a couple of minutes there, but I was still expecting a guy, let's say a guy that I probably would think that Tibbs would trust over those young unproven players, and I was expecting a vet like Taj. That was one of the names that I'm not expecting many of minutes, but we know that how Tibbs rolls with minutes, so it would be really like 8, maybe 10 minutes a game for Taj, and I think he would be really good in those kind of minutes. With this signing, I have nothing else to say that if Jalen Brunson gets injured, if Emmanuel Quickley gets injured, and if Deuce McBride gets injured, and Dante DiVincenzo is going to play the 2 spot, Ryan Arcidiacono might wear and warm up for the Knicks, right? That's the only way I see it. And from what the reports are, and I saw that Sim said that he has an Exhibit 9 contract, which it wasn't familiar about the rules of that contract. That contract for Ryan is that he can be only signed at max to a 1-year deal for the vets minimum. So this probably means that next season he's definitely not back with the Knicks, if that's the deal.
Yeah, unless they were to sign him in a different capacity, which they won't.
Exactly. Yeah. So and like I said to someone on Twitter, I think on X, because that's the new name of the app. I think I mentioned someone that maybe Jalen needs a guy to shop groceries for him because he's too big of a star around New York. So maybe less people gonna recognize Ryan. Maybe he's gonna use him for those purposes. I don't know why we would need the 4th Villanova Wildcat on the 4th Villanova player on a roster. But then again, it's only one left, right? Mikal Bridges.
Listen, if they're gonna keep with the trend, if you're going that direction, I am not gonna be mad with you.
Exactly, right. That's my dream player that actually I think if we got him, even in the expense of one of those guys in the rotation, I think the Knicks might be really, really close to get to the NBA Finals. So
I hear that. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm not. I know some, and this is no shot at the fellow Knicks fan. Okay, I've been seeing stuff on Twitter, and I'm like, I don't get what's the big concern. I do feel like Arcidiacono is a good clubhouse guy. I think he's a really good guy. I think the guys on the team like him. And when I remember seeing him on in the bench, he's always cheerleading and showing love to the rest of the team. He doesn't complain about minutes. He comes in whenever needed. He's just at that point in his career where he's just happy to be in the NBA collecting a check.
Yeah.
He's the perfect type of guy to add to be the 15th man or 14th man. I don't even know if they filled everything. You know, I'm still a little confused about what the Knicks do. But he's a perfect guy to fill the last few spots of a roster. Yeah. And he already has that connection to these guys. They're like family. So it's a different thing, right? That's why I don't think that Knicks fans should be feeling a certain way. One, it's the 14th or 15th man on the roster. Most likely it's the 15th man on the roster. That person ain't playing. That person's not adding any value to the Knicks or to most teams, if that. So that's the thing. Like the 14th and 15th guys aren't adding a lot of value to any team, really. But for the Knicks, especially when you know he goes 8 or 9. So you figure like being 14 or 15 on the Knicks is like retirement. Like you're never going to see time, you know? Unless it's really extensive garbage time. So I don't think you guys should stress it at all. It's just a move that, you know, the Knicks need a little bit of culture because I don't know if he's the exact guy I would go for, but if you can't find that guy, then I would bring back Ryan. You know what I mean? Because I said before, I think Theo Pinson is a really great locker room guy to have, right? Not for any of his like experience value in that way to teach other guys stuff, but it's more of the presence he has, the camaraderie he builds when he's there, the feeling he gives to the rest of the locker room. Like when they're down, they don't get down too much when Theo Pinson is around because he makes it lighthearted and all that stuff. That's his role. Okay. Then you got a guy like Taj Gibson that Andy mentioned. Taj Gibson would be perfect, right? Because you know he does add that experience and that value, especially for a team that lacks a solid back. Yeah, correct. And he would have been perfect, right? But I think maybe at this point, you know, Taj just felt like I've already done it. I've already came back. I went to the Knicks. We had our run. I came, you know, all that stuff. Right now, the money is similar. You know, I just spent time with Washington. I'm getting to know these guys. I kind of like these guys. I don't want to leave them high and dry. Taj is a real cool, loyal dude. And also maybe he just likes the different setting of being in Washington. You know, he's older. He has the right to be able to move around and feel comfortable where he wants to. So, you know, it is what it is. But he would have been really a good fit because we don't have that backup power forward that you could say he's definitely locked in. And whoever we do have, he adds a lot of value and knowledge to that position to help. So he would have been perfect, but it is what it is. At least we fill out the roster with a guy who's a good team-oriented guy, and the guys like him. So, and that's probably the extent of the Ryan Arcidiacono conversation. I mean, there's not a lot to say about him in particular. I'm happy for him. Good for him. But you know, that's pretty much it. Like he's taking a slot. He's filling that slot. So shout out to the chat once again. Appreciate you guys. Hey, D's World of Hoops in the building. Salute, D. Good to see you. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Guys, if you haven't already tuned into D's World of Hoops, he is back and putting out shows. Please like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. His most recent show, unless I missed one, but I think his most recent show was really good. He kind of broke down and looked deeper into the elements of the triangle offense and how the Knicks use it. So that was a really good show. So you might want to hit that up and check it out. And that's one of those where, you know, that's always material you can go back to and watch because it's relevant. So who knows? There may be a season, maybe a point in the season where the Knicks are doing something, and I'm like, you know what? Let me go back to that D's show and see how the triangle's working there. It's interesting. Hit him up is in the building. Salute. What's good, my brother? Appreciate you. Building Blocks is here. Salute Building Blocks. I think I said what's up to you already, but if I didn't, I'm saying it again. Sharice Duncan is in the building. We really have 13 guards. You know, that's how it is. Appreciate you. Victor Rivera is in the building. Victor Rivera is in the building. Salute. What's good? I'm happy to see you in the chat. It has been a minute, but you know, that's good. That's good. Working and making money and supporting yourself and your family. So that's important. Okay. I think I got everybody. All right. So, but this does bring us to a bigger question, guys, because, you know, we've been commenting and it's undeniable what is happening in front of you. So I wonder what you guys' thoughts are and get Andy's take on it. Because some people are, I don't know. I mean, I'm not making a big deal about it. Because like we already addressed Ryan Arcidiacono's position on the team and what his relevancy is, right? But some people are concerned about the Villanova Knicks. It just it's one of them things. Like we are trending in that direction. And like I said before, if we get one more, I don't think a lot of Knicks fans will be upset. I mean, you know, it's just what it is.
Ron, unless the last one is Omari Spellman.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we don't want the Amari Spellman acquisition. Yeah. But listen, I'm not concerned about it. I only question it in regards to one person. Well, not one person. That's a lie. I shouldn't do that. There's probably 3 people, right? And I guess I want to say shout out to Freezy because he had a conversation about that, and I don't want to. It's kind of like I'm piggybacking on that conversation. I don't want to take any shine away from it. But how do the young Knicks, the Emmanuel Quickleys and the RJ Barretts, who have something to prove right now, and the Quentin Grimeses, I would say that's probably about it. Maybe Deuce McBride to a lesser extent, because this is adding another guy to take minutes away from him. And I don't mean Ryan, I mean Dante DiVincenzo. Like, how do they feel about the little clique that's forming here? Now, these are good players. Obviously, they're not going to treat themselves like a clique. But the point is, you're bringing in more of these guys, and you know they have that relationship together. And so does it make the current Knicks, the younger guys who are still trying to establish themselves, feel a certain way about their roles on the team? What's your thoughts, Andy?
Well, for me personally, I don't think that's an issue. I mean, bringing, you know, these Villanova, you know, players to the Knicks. You know, chemistry is really, really important. I don't think they're going to play any kind of system that they played at Villanova, because this is, you know, way higher level of basketball than college, right? Only thing that I would say that this might maybe hinder or, you know, point at is that who was the first Villanova player on the Knicks? And that would point to Jalen Brunson. Question is, was that? Oh, sorry, Ryan Arcidiacono was the first one.
Right. But well, yeah, if you're being technical, yeah.
But you know, going to that trail, like we said, I think, you know, the only player from Villanova that's on the Knicks that would have magnitude of bringing his friends on the roster just for the purpose of getting his friends paid would be Jalen Brunson. Mm-hmm. And question is, if that's the case here, and if Knicks fans and the rest of the players, like you said, are going to have a problem with that. Because if that's the case and Jalen is telling the front office, listen, I want my guys from Villanova on the roster because this guy doesn't have a contract, or I want Dante DiVincenzo getting paid by you because I took a pay cut or something like that, that might be a problem in the longer and the future, you know, the longer point of view, you know, down the road, or whatever you want to say it, right? It might not be a problem if the results are there. But if one of these guys, crippled the Knicks by any kind of way, that they're underperforming and stuff like that, it might be a situation where someone is gonna, start to dig down deeper on this situation, on this problem, and I think Jalen might get, fingers pointing at him, because of this situation. Is it gonna be fair? Probably, the Knicks fan base isn't gonna know unless someone spills some milk. But like I said, if the results are gonna be there, no one's gonna have a problem with it. If one of these Villanova guys is gonna cause a problem, then the Knicks fan base is gonna be pointing fingers, and the Knicks beat writer is gonna be looking for a story. It might point to Jalen Brunson as the root of the problem, right? At this point, he's one of the best Knicks on the roster, so I don't think he's gonna get fingers pointed at him and any kind of blame. So I'm not looking for a story here.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna I don't think they're gonna have to worry about that too much, because I think Josh Hart was a Thibodeau guy prior to them even getting Brunson. Thibodeau's always liked Josh Hart, and so he's already had that thing in the back of his head, like, if this guy's available and he can fit our team, we can go get him. The Dante DiVincenzo thing, maybe more attributed to the connection that they got going on there right now. I could see that. Ryan, he doesn't really affect the balance of the team, so it's not a big deal. And he was on the team prior to these guys. It is what it is. The Dante thing, yes. So if it comes to a point where Dante's underperforming and Josh Hart is not performing, people will start to point the finger like, oh, these guys only came in here because of Jalen. I could see that happening, but I don't think that's going to be the case. And realistically, I think the acquisitions of both of those two guys are justified because, like I said, Josh Hart was on Thibodeau's radar before, and Dante DiVincenzo is a proven asset to a team. Now, some might say if you do a deep dive into what Dante does, how much of a piece does he or role does he play, especially when it comes to the playoffs? That's a whole nother conversation that's probably going to happen at some point, or has already happened for other shows. But Dante hasn't always had the best playoff showing. Even though he was on a championship team with Milwaukee, he wasn't like a key piece of that championship team. He was a piece. So, we'll see how it all plays out. But I think that you also never know what's going to help benefit these guys by playing together again as well. All of them, kind of, getting that vibe off of each other and that chemistry again might help guys step up in moments where they weren't stepping up before, or like when they underperformed before. Maybe just that camaraderie of playing with my guys again and being out there, and this is important to us. We got to do this, and maybe there's some more to it, and that might help boost these players' performances in those moments. So we'll see. I think the Knicks are going to be much better, not much better, but I think they're going to be a little better than they were last year, and that's a good thing, because they had a rough spell at certain points throughout the season. We get a full season of Josh Hart, have we already talked about, and then the DiVincenzo signing. I think he's going to make up for certain things that Obi might have not brought to the team. Right now, don't think I'm saying that we're going to not miss Obi. I know some people are like, we're not going to miss Obi. I don't know, guys. I think to a certain extent we may miss Obi a little bit. Will Dante help us to move on from that and forget certain? Yes, because Dante's a really good all-around player. He can do a lot of different things that we'll appreciate that Obi may not be ready to do at this point in his career. But there's going to be certain things that you're going to miss that Obi can bring, because he does have a really good motor. Okay, Obi does have a good motor. He may not have certain skill sets developed fully yet, and defensive ability and understanding of his role and what he needs to do in anticipation, that's still coming along, right? But the motor and certain things that he adds and that wow value Obi did have that, so it is what it is. We'll digress for now. We'll get there eventually. I know we're going to be talking once the season starts. Obi's name is going to get mentioned. I'm sure of it. So yeah, I don't think the Villanova thing is too crazy. I think it's more of an individual aspect of players that were brought in to take minutes and lessen value for certain players. I think that's interesting. And I think this breeds competition. I think Thibodeau wants that. I think the front office wants that. At this point, they're trying to improve this team and go for something. At least make the effort towards going for something. These guys need to step up. You can't have what we saw in the playoffs from Grimes and Quickley. They got to step up. You can't have what you saw in the regular season from RJ Barrett going into the playoffs. His playoff performance was good. The regular season, not so much. So they're trying to, competition breeds, good play. So what's your thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, Ron, I wanted to touch on one thing, and maybe this is just me thinking too much on this, topic. But do you think the signing of Dante DiVincenzo has anything to do with the Emmanuel Quickley extension? Meaning like we got Dante, he's gonna get a couple of minutes from Quickley as well, because I don't see Quickley getting the same amount of minutes that he was getting last time. And that might be a move from the front office, for example, to talk the extension with Quickley and have a bargain chip, right? It's like, listen, we ain't gonna pay you this kind of money because we have a guy that does a little bit of what you did, previous season. And what we heard, Quickley is looking for Jalen Brunson kind of money. And for me, I'm not the biggest fan of IQ. So for me, if we can find a trade partner, get an asset or something, I'm good for it, because I literally think that he doesn't fit, and his game all around isn't my favorite. Let's call it that way. So if I'm the front office, I might be like, listen, we're gonna add a guy that's gonna help us, where he might hurt Quickley's contract extension, but that's going to be only good for us, so we can bargain with him on the extension number, right? And to be true, I think these managers and these guys might be thinking that way. Might be, as Knicks fans and Knicks fan base says, that they might be playing chess when we're thinking checkers, right? And maybe that's a move that they envision that it may cause it, right? It may be done. And if, for example, if this, lowers the numbers of Quickley by, a couple of, points or whatever, it might be like, listen, Emmanuel, we can't give you this kind of money. We can get you this kind of money. And they're going to be happy with that contract extension, because paying Quickley the money that Jalen Brunson is getting, that's going to be a bad thing. A really bad thing, because imagine a guy getting paid the amount of money, and playing off the bench as far as your almost all-star point guard, right? And you can say whatever you want about the story that we previously said, that he's getting friends paid on this team and to his team and stuff like that, but still the difference between Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickley is tremendous. And those guys' contracts, being even around the same number, it's blasphemy for me. So it would be really bad. And not to, even mention that Julius Randle's contract, he also took a pay cut. RJ Barrett, we don't know about the incentives and the numbers on the incentives, but if Quickley is going to get paid around that kind of money,
so I hear you, Andy, and your point of contention is something that a lot of fans share, because they're like, well, this is going to be pretty weird, and how does this play out? But you got to think about it like, at some point, this happens in every sport. At some point, there's a changing of the salaries, right? And I think I mentioned this before. I don't really remember it too much. And if it did happen, I was young and didn't pay attention to it. You know, I don't remember it affecting any of my teams, but of course it had to at some point. But I wasn't even thinking. I'm just watching the game. I want to see my players. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm young. Now that I'm old and looking at this stuff, at some point, the shift has to happen, and there's going to be some funky salaries that happen until it levels itself out. So you could say, and I see what you're saying. Like for Quickley, say Quickley gets a contract of about 106 or 107 million. I'm just throwing something out there, whatever. I think Jalen's what, a 104 and RJ was 107. That was what it was, something like that. I don't know. But say Quickley gets something like that. Everybody's going to be like, this is crazy. You know, RJ's making this. And, you know, to really make it funky, give Quickley 108 or something like that. So he's making more than both of them, right? People are going to be like, what the hell is going on here? This doesn't make sense. Right. And so you say that's not right. He can't be making more than these two guys, especially Jalen Brunson at this point. But if you shortchange Quickley, right, then you're devaluing. If I was working for the Players Association, I'd be like, you can't do things that way because you're devaluing my guy and his asset when this is it has to run its course. So say we offer Quickley 80 million because that fits better. Just throwing it out there. Then in 2 years, Jalen Brunson's contract is up, and he's eligible to get 220. Throwing numbers out there, but he's eligible to get 200. That's not going to be a question, right? And he gets like 220. Then Quickley's on your team, signed to a 4-year contract, and he's got a year or something left on his contract, and he's making 80. Now he's devalued. He's not scale. Like, you got to bring everybody up when their time is due, and it's going to make things look really funky for a little bit. But that's how the nature of business has always been. Every time they do new salary adjustments, new CBA agreements with TV deals, and people start to get more money, some weird contracts happen, and it starts to look lopsided. But eventually, it'll even itself out. I don't know how the Knicks get around this unless they decide not to re-sign Quickley. But if they re-sign him, I think he's going to get a good amount. And I think that amount is going to be close to 100. I don't know if he's getting over 100, but it's definitely going to be close. Because that's the nature of the beast. Freaking, you know, and we already seen it. So we can't say it's not existing. I mean, Jalen, you know, Brown got 300 million. Like, it's coming. So just saying. And I say this multiple times because it's a reality. Jason Tatum's contract is up at the end of the year, and he's going to get 300 million as well. I don't know if the Celtics can do both, but Tatum's getting 300 million. So, yeah, I don't know, but that's just where we're at, guys. It's going to look funky, and you might say to yourself, right now, it's weird. I don't know if he's worth that amount of money, but over time, that Quickley contract is going to look less and less of an albatross or something too crazy that we did. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take a couple years. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But to Andy's other point, I think you're right. And I think the Knicks I think it's a smart way to do it. I think they're at that point where they're starting to say, listen, we need to make a move and have a plan, right? We do this. Why are we doing this? This is the reason. Okay, now if we do that, what's next? Because my thought is, and I don't know how you guys feel about it out there in Nickland, they brought in Dante, and I think Dante is a good piece to add to the Knicks because we needed it, but we let Obi go, right? So it's like, we're going to get rid of Obi. Bringing in Dante helps with that. So that already gives us a player that can do similar things, gives us some value. And so we're covered, right? And also, he can do so many different things. He fits the mold of the Knicks. So whatever happens with Quickley, he's another player that fits right in that, you know, we won't lose as much. We'll still have to figure out something later, but we'll be okay. Now, the flip side is if they decide to sign Quickley, I feel like that precipitates another move. I think giving Quickley that money says someone else is gone. In my opinion, I don't know who. I'm just thinking that that's what's going to happen. If they sign Quickley, I think another one of your Knicks is gone, folks. I don't know when, but I think it's going to happen over time. Eventually, somebody else is out of here, but we'll see what happens. But I hear what you're saying, though, Andy. I do think that now they are kind of thinking, because remember, they've already made a move and it backfired on them. They weren't expecting certain things. It worked out not the way they expected, and then they got caught. And that was the Julius Obi thing. We don't need to rehash that. You guys know what they did. But so they weren't prepared for that, and it messed up. So I think now they're being a little bit more cautious. Yeah, that's the word. They're a little bit more cautious with what they do, and they're coming up with a plan. Like, okay, if we do this, this is what could happen. What do we do next? And so if this happens, we're okay here. I think they're doing stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're right with regards to that, Andy. Oh man, shout out a couple more people in the chat. I see some welcome faces here. I just lost it. Where'd he go? Oh man. Oh shoot. Sha Legacy is in the building. Salute. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well, Sha. Kerry Cox is in the building. Salute, Kerry. My guy Sherwin is in the building. Salute. Margaret Edwards. What's going on, Margaret? Hope you're doing well. Knicks 100 is in the building. Salute. Appreciate you. Keith Turner is in the building. Salute, Keith. Good to see you. Ashley Inc. What's going on, Wiz? Salute. And if there's anybody out there that I missed in the chat, please forgive me. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Please hit that like button now, though. Don't worry, I'll wait. We'll hold the show. Oh, did you guys do it already? Okay, we're back. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Let me see what some of you guys are saying real quick. Pudge says the roster is all set. Knicks 100 says the ball gonna move. I hope so. Honestly, I kind of think it will. I think DiVincenzo helps a lot with that. And the other thing is, the good thing about DiVincenzo, guys, is something Obi couldn't do, right? DiVincenzo don't need to wait in the corner for you to give him the ball. DiVincenzo can go get it, and when he gets it, he can do what he wants to do with it. He can move. He got handle. He can move. So that RJ situation between Obi and RJ, RJ not passing the ball, DiVincenzo don't care. I'll get the ball. And remember, I'm gonna get the ball, and then the ball's gonna be in my hands, and you may need me to pass it to you, because DiVincenzo's got good handle, and he's a good playmaker with regards to being out there on the floor. So I think the ball will move in that respect. Josh Hart is a willing passer. I think Jalen Brunson, depending on what the scheme is will be a willing passer too. I mean, he passes the ball, but I'm saying, like, he can pass more depending on what the scheme is with the Knicks. But the Knicks may run the same thing they ran last year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We got to see. I don't know. It's not horrible. It's just that it does open it up for a lot of ISO ball. But because our team is not great and filled with a lot of shooting, ISO ball may be the best thing we got going. So, it's tricky. You got to play to your strengths sometimes when you got weaknesses that you can't really overcome. Like, you can't just make a guy a good shooter if he's been historically a bad shooter in the league. So he could be better, but it doesn't mean he'll be good. We'll see. So, I mean, there's going to be some things that they got to address. They got to see what's happening. And I'm just patient right now with this Knicks team, because I know that they're, once again, every season, they're better than what people think, because we're going to the season again somehow like an underdog again. Won 47 games, yet there's a whole bunch of doubt. They made it to the second round in the playoffs, yet there's a whole bunch of doubt, like they can't get back to the playoffs and make it back to a second round again, which is crazy to me. The team we lost one piece and we picked up one piece. How all of a sudden are we a bad basketball team? Or are you saying, once again, let me do this again, because I love this. It's like a freaking broken record. It's a soap opera. Every year, the Knicks, they got one guy. All right, but do you see what these guys did? Do you see what these guys did? Yeah, I saw that 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They did what they did. Knicks made it to the playoffs, 4th seed. The year prior to that, they had a stinker. It wasn't a good season for the Knicks. We know that. But then last year they got back to business, right? Going into last season, oh, Orlando's better. The Bulls are going to be the Miami's this. This team is. Guess what? In the end, Knicks 5th seed out of the first round of the playoffs. Those other teams that you thought were going to knock the Knicks off, some of them weren't even in the conversation. So stop worrying about what other teams are doing, guys. If you're a Knicks fan, worry about what your team is doing. And right now, they haven't done anything for you to say that they stink. If anything, they should be just as good as last year. How much better they'll be, I don't know. I think they're going to be better, but that's my opinion. So we'll see. All right. Oh, and by the way, what's your thoughts on that, Andy? The whole thing about, once again, the Knicks being not good enough to compete the way they competed last year.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think, though, the goal should be the wins number, because if it's 48, 44, for me it doesn't matter. I think the seeding is gonna matter. It's like, we were top, we were the 5th seed. We can still be the 5th seed. It doesn't bother me, like that. If we're going to be the 4th seed, it's going to be still better. But that doesn't mean that we have to beat 47 wins, because the seeding isn't based on that, right? The question is, are the teams ahead of us going to have, the amount of wins? So we can be the 3rd seed with 45 wins, for example, right? So for me, it's that. The goal for me as the Knicks for the upcoming season is still be in the playoffs without playing in the play-ins. That meaning top 6 seed after the regular season. I don't want to be caught off guard in that 1 or 2 games in the play-ins, because every now and then you can play a bad game, and if that goes on in the play-ins, you're going to be out. So I don't want to risk it. I want to be top 6. And like we saw previous seasons, and if you saw basketball for years back, the 6th seed still can beat the 3rd seed. The 6th seed still can beat the 2nd seed in the second round. So that doesn't matter that much for me. We saw it from the Knicks playing from the lower seed, beating the higher seeds in the last playoff. So as long as we are top 6, I'm cool with it. Of course, I would love to be top 3, top 2. Of course, the higher the better. But top 6, I'm cool with it. I rather look at the style that we play, at the situations. If, for example, we got injured guys, and that was going to cause us, a couple of wins less, but we're going healthy in the playoffs and we're full strength and stuff like that. Or other teams are hurt and stuff like that, because one injury can do, tremendous damage to a team. And when we saw that, before, not only on the Knicks but on other squads. So I rather see our guys getting, top 6 seed, going to the playoffs fully healthy, and not having any kind of excuses.
That's fair. Makes sense. Appreciate you, D. Hopefully I will, you'll have a great show. I'm going to tune in as always. Guys, please, like I said, support, show love to D's World of Hoops and his show. Thank you for stopping by, my guy. Let me get to the chat a little bit, because normally I'm so used to kind of moving around topic to topics to get everybody's feedback, but it's just me and Andy rocking right now. So I can get to some of the stuff that's in the chat that you guys are putting out there. Margaret Edwards was like, remember the Knicks of the 90s was tall. We need taller players, no more short guards. I mean, at this point, like, that's got to be the natural direction, right? We can't keep bringing in guys at similar height. At some point,
and Ron, there's not many smaller guys in the league that the Knicks can make the average of the height go lower. So
very true, very true. So I agree with you, Margaret. Shout out to Nick D in the building. Salute to you. Thank you for being here. DJ Desi's in the building. Let's get to 50 likes. I like that. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Illmadix is in the building. What's good, Illmadix? Salute to you. Let me see. I said I was gonna. I think I already touched on it. But Dwayne Dennis had said, Yo, Ron, how many guards does this Knick team need? Maybe. Hopefully, this is eventually pointing toward a move for an actual piece that we really need. I mean, I don't think the Ryan move means anything. I think we already kind of broke it down. I think it's just a filler for the roster. You know, he's a good guy, good locker room guy. And you know, he's already been here. He knows the role. He's not going to complain about minutes, and he's just going to fit nicely to kind of fill out the rest of the roster. And listen, you know, in fairness, if anything necessarily bad was to happen, say we go through whatever, God forbid, some more pandemic stuff or whatever, and we just don't have the players. Ryan's not a slouch. I mean, he's gone out there, he can knock down an open shot, whatever. You know, he can do something for it. It's not like he's just like I'm collecting a check. Just let me suit up. he's more than that. So, Parrish Duggar has says another move towards the Brunson takeover. Tibbs and Obi out, and that was Leon's guy. Stay tuned for more removal tactics of Tibbs, Randle, and RJ for the Brunsons and their way of seeing how we need to go. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be too crazy, but listen, I said before, there's some question about it these days, but I do think that Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart are high IQ guys. Now, I think what confuses, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say confuses people, but what makes it difficult for them to believe sometimes that these guys are high IQ guys is their limitations with regards to their game sometimes. Like Brunson sometimes looks like you would think that he could capitalize more on moving the ball around and finding guys in spots. But because he gets so caught up in the ISO scoring and being a focal point of the offense, sometimes he gets a little tunnel vision too. So then you start to think, well, there was a play right there and this happened and Brunson missed it. Or I think he just gets conditioned to be in a mode where I got to do this. So I'm focused on doing that. If he doesn't feel like he's in that position and he says, oh, well, you know, let's move the ball around, let's get our team, I think he will see those plays. So I don't think it's lack of IQ. I just think that he just sometimes the role that he has on this Knick team is a lot bigger than say what you saw on Team USA when he's deferring and only taking 9 shots in a game as opposed to taking 16, 17 maybe with the Knicks if need be. So I think that's the case. I think Josh Hart has a high IQ just for him to be in certain positions. The positioning to be able to get rebounds at 6'4", to get 18 rebounds as a game, you smart. You have an IQ of what's going on out there in the court. The ability to get the ball off of the rebound and push in transition and find the open guy to get easy baskets. You have a high IQ. It's just that he plays good, solid defense. It's just that he fundamentally all around game, it's changing in my eyes because I thought Josh Hart was really like a Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? He could do everything. And I thought, man, he could do everything well. But his game has changed a little bit. Offensively, he's not necessarily what I thought he was. Now, he could change this year and maybe go back to a little of that. I don't think so, though. I think his game has changed because I remember Josh Hart being able to get some buckets. Now, of course, he's not a dynamic scorer. Like you can go to him and he's going to be the guy. But I've seen Josh Hart put up 50 or close to 50. I've seen him do it a couple different times where he had 30-plus points. Like Josh Hart could score. So I don't know what's happening to that Josh Hart, but I don't know. Maybe he's just changing. It is what it is. And then Dante is another one. Guys who can do a lot of things on the court. Defense, ball handle, play make, shoot the three. You got to have a good IQ to me because there's certain things you got to know how to pick your spots and be able to fill different roles and different things for a team. I think you have to have a good idea. And I also think Jay Wright and Villanova, and that's part of the reason why we got so many Villanova guys. I think they got smart players out there. So I just think there's guys with good IQ and that's the reason why we got these Villanova guys outside of just the relationships. These are actually pretty good moves. They may not be take you over the top moves, is what a lot of Knick fans are hoping for, but they're good moves. Let me get through a couple more and then get back to the show. Angel Torres says, Ron, do you think Melo could be that guy just to rest Randle 10 to 12 minutes per game? Well, I'm sorry to say this, Angel, but no, I think Melo's days are over. I think he retired, and he retired for a reason. I think it's a lot, and I'll get Andy's take on this too. I think it's a lot of disappointment and stress. Not stress now, but at some point it was stress. But now it's more of disappointment with how Melo views the rest of the NBA. I think Melo put himself in a position early where he kind of gave off a little bit of a selfish feel, a selfish vibe, and it kind of made some of the league look at him in a certain way. But it was precipitated by, I don't know if you, damn it, I wish I don't have it right now. And I saw a story about it. There was a content creator on YouTube who did a story about Melo and what took place in Houston. And so I'm just going to paraphrase it because I don't remember everything word for word. But in Houston, Melo wasn't necessarily playing the way they thought. I felt like they thought they were getting, prime Melo, and Melo had lost a little bit of a step. Not tremendous, but just enough that his game had to change. He had to become a little bit different how he played out there. And they weren't expecting that. They were looking for prime Melo who could be the number 2 to like James Harden and do whatever. So they decided, and this is according to Melo. Melo said this. I don't know what's true, and no one's refuted it. They decided to put Melo on the bench, right? But they didn't think Melo was going to like going to the bench. And they didn't tell Melo, we're going to put you on the bench and see what he said about it. They just felt like it wasn't going to, by knowing his personality and the vibe he gives off of a star player in the league, a little bit of a diva, a little bit, they didn't think he was going to fly. And that might be also because they had a diva on their team already in James Harden, but whatever. And so they decided to move him. Or let him go, whatever you want to call it. And yeah. And then kind of apparently, for whatever reason, the guy who was in charge over there, it wasn't Morey. It was the other guy. Morey was there, but it was the other guy. Had something. He was a coach on the staff or a front office guy. I can't remember now. So I'm sorry, guys, but just understand there was either a front office guy or another coach that was on the squad that him and Melo didn't have the best relationship. Something happened there, and I guess, things didn't work. They let that guy go, or he walked away, right? They get rid of Melo. Instantly, like a few weeks later, the guy comes back, right? So some stuff happened around the league that got a little fishy, and Melo really got dogged out. Because I don't care. Like, Melo never hurt nobody. Melo wasn't the worst player out there in the court. Melo wasn't doing things that Dylan Brooks does. Melo wasn't, the Draymond Green of the league. Like, the way he got treated to me was crazy. And, he got blackballed for a little bit. And then thankfully, I shout out Dame Lillard for doing what he did, and CJ McCollum for both, petitioning to get Melo on Portland. And then that helped him and revitalized his what was left of his career. But then even after the Portland thing was over, like, once again, like, the Lakers had a chance to get Melo and they didn't go after it. And then they want to get Melo after he's lost a little bit more of a step. But he still could have played. Like, Melo can get you, 10 to 15 points a night. I think pretty easy if you give him 15 minutes or so and, give him some shots. He can score. But I guess around the league, the value is just lost. It was what it was. I just don't think he retired way too early for what he could do out there. I think he still should have been playing to this day, at least another year or two. But whatever. Anyway, Andy, what's your thoughts on the whole Melo thing? I mean, first off, to answer your question, Angel, I think, yes, that ship has sailed. Melo's gone. He's already upset with the league, how he got treated. He don't want to come back. He's done. He's living through his son now. Now, Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, unfortunately, Ron, I have to agree with you. Where I was a big Melo fan when he was even with Denver before he got to the Knicks. So So that being said, I think Melo's biggest problem was kind of his ego. We saw interviews when he was traded to OKC, and he was, the famous interview when he was asking, I think it was like Poor George or someone like, listen, they're talking about me getting off the bench. You heard? And he's laughing, right? If he would have embraced a role as a team guy, as a glue guy, even coming off the bench, I would still rather have him than, for example, Obi. And now a guy that kind of wants to give minutes to the young guys and develop them and stuff like that. But even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when Melo was a free agent, I still said that if he would only, be comfortable with being the backup, and then when being off the bench with the bench guys, getting the ball, playing offense, I think he would have been a plus player on your roster. But at this point, Ron, like you said, he is concentrated on Kyan's career, going around the states, going around the world with him. So I think like you said, that ship has sailed. I saw fans thinking that maybe he could be the big man coach and stuff like that. He earned too much money to be working with other NBA players now and teaching them, where he doesn't need the money, he doesn't need the fame of being a special coach or whatever. He rather spend time with his son and develop his career, right? So I think, like you said, Ron, that ship has sailed. We're probably never going to see Melo in an NBA jersey unless there's going to be some wild one-day contract so we can retire his jersey or something like that, right? But I think, like you said, his last couple of years of the NBA career was turbulent. Shouldn't be like that. I'm not going to say, because I also think that he wasn't treated fairly. But we don't know what happened on the teams, in the locker rooms, on the behind the stage, behind the scenes, and stuff like that, because he might have been the problem too, right? So,
well, and I kind of think that maybe that was the case, but I don't think it was with the players. Like, I think Melo is a players guy, right? I think I think it might have been with organization, because Melo is one of the, you guys know that the best players in the league do have some say when they go to different teams with regards to they get maybe not have a lot of power. The LeBrons do, obviously, but and Melo kind of fit into that mode with the CPs, even though he doesn't have the same pedigree of winning the gold. But at some point, he gets that cachet that, you start to be involved in what's the process. Like, you have an idea what's going on. And maybe he kind of rubbed people the wrong way with his thoughts or opinions. And, listen, I always say that you never know what's happening behind closed doors, but I do know that everything that LeBron has been able to create for himself, Melo was right there from the beginning, right? And so Melo, Bosh, CP, Wade, they all have that thing, and they all are peers, and they want to be able to do the same things, right? Melo wants to have a say in what's going on in his team, just like LeBron has. Melo wants to call some shots too, because they feel like they're on the same page. But that doesn't always work. And sometimes you call the shots. See, that's the whole thing. You can call shots, but you got to back it up. Like, LeBron has called a lot of shots, but he's also had moments where he's backed it up so he can continue to call shots. If Melo has said, oh, why don't we do this? Or maybe we should get rid of this guy, or do this, and this is my thought, and it didn't work out, that might not look so good for Melo either. You never know. Just a lot of stuff we just don't know about, and we never will know about. Yeah. But
and Ron, it's just messed up. We can add that there were former players that Melo played with. And I think Chauncey said it. I think Nene from Denver said it, that there were games where Melo was like, if they won, but he had, below 20 points, he wasn't happy. But if he had 30 or more, that the result of the team didn't matter for him. he was happy.
Right.
And he
Right.
could take the interview, and he was like, "Oh, listen, we won, but stuff like that. But I still had a good game, right?" That was hinting to him being more egocentric than team centric, right? And
100%.
it's still hard to say, because you never know how a guy was raised. Maybe he had certain values put in him, from the get-go, from the little leagues to the college. And listen, he was one of those guys that won in college with Syracuse the 1 year that he was there. So it's hard to say. There's too many things that we never saw, that we probably never gonna see and never gonna know, right? That happened behind the stage. I read the Carmelo book, but it was more of his childhood than the NBA career, right? So
Right.
there were plenty of things that were like so wild that you could literally do a movie about it, right? But still, but still, his NBA career, personally, I think he should have been treated a little bit better, but we don't know how he was acting behind the stages, because that might rub the people, like the managements, a little bit off, and that's why they treat that way.
Yeah, and I kind of also say, I think it's and there's some good points there. Pudge said, that mentality got him into the league. He grew up in the hood. Baltimore is tough. I agree with all of that, and I think that's very true. Like, Melo is the type of guy, not purposely. I don't mean like that, but it's not just Melo. It's LeBron's that way. Kobe, Jordan, and really what I'm referring to is all the better players or the best scorers in the league. They all have this thing, right? And obviously throughout the years, as a young kid, you're fighting for your spot. The trash talk that goes back and forth. Man. So that mentality is what drove him to be one of the best players and one of the stars in the NBA. And I'm sure he carried that a long way. I think sometimes what happens is you create a persona about yourself, right? And in Melo's case, he was one of those that created a very strong persona, and probably because of a lot of diva antics. But at some point, he got humbled, right? But I think that is where things got lost in Melo's case. Once he got humbled, the rest of the league didn't realize that he got humbled. And so they're looking at Melo for who the Melo was before. But Melo knows, I'm not the same player I was before. I can't do everything out there on the court. There's guys out here that are better than me now. I can't even act the same way because I can't back it up, right? And I've already been humbled because I've gone through some things. And I think the rest of the league was a little slow to catch on. And could you imagine what would have happened if Portland didn't give him that shot? Like, nobody else was stepping up. So I don't know. But I definitely agree that he definitely probably rubbed some people the wrong way. And then back in those days, those Denver days and early Knick days, Melo was top flight Melo, and he's going to be that way. But I think over time, by the time he got to Houston, he had already started to humble himself. And then that Houston experience definitely humbled him. So when he was at Portland, I think Melo was a different guy. And to me, that's the guy that I think the league should have recognized and said, you know what, he can fit on our team. We can find a spot for Melo. And they didn't. And that I don't understand that part. That part I don't, because I think at that point he had already been humbled. But whatever, we could spend forever talking about this. Can't get into the mind of a man that you don't know personally, but it is what it is. Let me get to a couple more things in the chat before we move on.
Ron, I'm gonna grab a beer before
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, give me one too. Pour some out for the homies. All right. So where was I? Well, let me shout out to my guy Hector at Morning Brew Sports Network. Shout out to Hector, Jiggaman, and my guy Phil. Appreciate these guys. Really good dudes. I cannot stress enough how happy I am to be associated with these guys and to look at what they're doing over there with their network. It's incredible. First off, Guys, if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. Go support the Morning Brew Sports Network. Like I said before, they've got everything you could possibly need over there. They're covering Knicks, they're covering Jets, they're covering Mets, they're covering Yankees, they're covering Giants, they're covering Rangers. You know, they've got the rookie podcast. They are doing others another segment in which they're talking about business related aspects, and just coordination behind the scenes and putting stuff together. They are and outside of that, right, and then they're probably expanding and doing a couple more things in the near future. Jigga Man is also behind the scenes and working on Jerry Ferrera's podcast. Shout out to Jerry Ferrera, Turtle from Entourage, and my guy Proctor from the show Power. Um, you know, Jerry Ferrera's got a new podcast. Please go support and check him out. With the writers and the actors strike going on, this is what he's deciding to do with his spare time, and he really wants to kind of just talk and be a part of the culture, because that's who he is. That's his life. So please support Jerry Ferrera's podcast. But like I said, Jigga Man's in the back on the ones and twos covering that too. Like, you stretching yourself thin, Jigga, but you doing it, man.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and Giga, if you want to, come over to the panel, I think Ron is gonna, invite you with open arms. If you want to bring Jerry with you, the more the better.
yeah, man. I gotta know, how did it feel to get shot up like that by Tommy? But whatever, that's a whole another story. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. So definitely shout out and salute to my guys. Appreciate you guys. And let me see here. Oh, and by the way, Heck, I hope your birthday was good. I know I probably mentioned it already, but I hope you had a good birthday. Let me see here. Where was I? Jimmy Henry's in the building. Salute. He said, will Sims get more playing time with Obi gone, and how much should he put into improving his offense? Good question. Good question. I
I
don't
think
know.
Jericho Sims is lacking he's lacking shooting. That's what's going to be his problem, because he can get the ball under the hoop and dunk it. He can take he doesn't have a great post game, but he has something. So that's the case. But Tibbs likes his wings to be able to stretch the floor, and I don't think Jericho Sims is that he has that kind of a range that Tibbs would love.
Yeah, I agree with that. And real quick, what I've said about Sims still holds true. He just needs to work on what he does and make that better. Like, work with a defensive coach on being better in better position defensively, and also work on his ability to block shots. Like, you can't improve everything overnight. And if he hasn't been that guy who has that skill set right away, that's going to take some time to develop. Being able to score in the low post, working on a little mid-range jump shot, work on improving your free throws, work on improving your positioning on defense, continue to work on your footwork for rebounding. He's not a bad rebounder, but he could be better. But most importantly, work on your shot blocking ability, because a guy who can jump throughout the gym the way he does should be able to affect more shots. So, and that's all about timing. Continue to work on your timing. This is when you wish Patrick Ewing was on the Knicks staff, or someone like that, but it is what it is.
And Ron, if I can add also something about Sims, what's funny with him when I look at him? His demeanor, right? This guy he's never, you can see any emotions on him. You don't know if we're winning by 50, if we're down by 50, if he scored 50, or if the guy on him scored 50. He has the same face all over, so he doesn't express any kind of emotions. And with his body build, I would love for him to act a little bit more like that tough guy, that tough presence, that maybe
Right.
a little bit of goonish player on the team. Meanwhile, he's not putting that whole body that he built in the perfect way. Let's say it that way.
Yeah. No, I
And
mean,
the Knicks lack a guy like that, right? We lack that guy that's going to be a bruiser, that's not going to be afraid to stand up to you, to look you deep in the eye, and try to trigger that a little bit of fright and scare in you. And Julius is trying to get that role, but he's on the other end of the spectrum. You can see the emotions on Julius, like when he's in the warm-ups, probably. So I think if you could mix these guys' personalities a little bit, that would be a great player.
yeah, I hear you. That's true. Yeah, because the thing about being an introvert, the way Sims is like introverts are tough because you really don't know how to gauge them, right? But the problem with Sims is he's an introvert that is not necessarily excelling at anything on the court, right? Derrick Rose was an introvert his whole career, but Derrick Rose was a beast at one point before he got hurt. Even a little after he got hurt, still a lot of value in the league. But before, like, he was at the top of his game. So you need him to step up and really focus on what he can do currently. Just make it better. How can I become better at what I'm doing? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope. I just get a little worried about the Knicks and how they do things. But then again, the flip side is, remember last year, we saw Jericho working out with Miles Turner and Julius and the trainer that they had and all this stuff. This year, we haven't seen a lot of what Jericho's been doing. Now, I know he was rehabbing from an injury. I would assume he's better now. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the less we see of Jericho, maybe he comes into the season, he's been working on some things, and we can actually appreciate what he's done. We'll see. Shout out to Fly God the third, aka C_Mac in the building. Salute to you, my brother. Shout out to Quiet Money. What's good, my guy? Hope you're doing well. Angry Knicks is in the building. Salute. Oh, that's another topic. Let me also give a shout out to my guy, Parrish Duggar. Thank you for the generous super chat, Parrish. He said Brunson is assembling his staff on and off the court towards our championship. This guy is his eyes and ears in the background. This is a tutor in uniform. That's, yeah, listen, could be the case. I mean, it's fair. That's fair. Thank you for the other generous super chat, Paris. He said, can't make personnel decisions based on 65-year-old Tibbs. Well, it's tough. I would say to a certain extent, you're correct. You can't build your whole team around, one coach's philosophy. But you do have to provide that coach with the necessary assets in order for him to succeed in the league. If he needs pieces in order to do what he's got to do out there, he needs the right players. You have to work within those confines. You got to give him what he needs to be successful. However, you also have to think the big picture of the organization and what would you like this team to look like going forward for the next 5 to 10 years and how you can build and progress on that. So it's kind of got to be like a happy marriage between the two. How do I get Tibbs' players while staying young and relevant and building towards the future? Don't handicap myself, give myself cap flexibility so that I can continue to grow the product and be successful in the league. It's a lot, but that's what you got to do. And the Knicks are doing I think the Knicks are doing a little better at doing that. I mean, outside of everything we like to say, guys, so do the Knicks, have they made the big splash? No. Do they sometimes look like they're a little shy to do it or scared to make a move? In some cases, yes. But for right now, there's nothing you can say right now that you can say the Knicks killed themselves by making this move. This is a horrible move. We'll never recover from it. You can't say that right now. We'll see what happens in the future, but they're in a good spot. They're not stuck with some contract that they can't get out of. Like, if we're going to get into the next topic, but sorry, Andy. Like, if Fournier was on the team and he had like another 3 years left at $18 million per, then you'd be like, what? What are we? We're not even playing him. That'd be different. That's not the case. This is Fournier's last year of the deal. And regardless of what happens, you know he's not going to be a Knick after this year. That's just, it is what it is. So, you know, I think it's time to that segued perfectly into the next topic. I wonder if you guys can guess what it is. You guys are good out there. I'm sure you figured it out. Yeah, that's right. Fournier trade rumors, folks. That's right. I don't know, Andy. First off, why is this taking so long, bro? Like, what is this? Like, why is it so hard to make a move? I don't get it.
You want the real answer or the funny one?
I'll take them both. I got time.
Listen, the funny one is we played 2 games versus Boston in the preseason, and the first game in the season is versus Boston. That's why we're keeping Fournier on the roster. He plays great versus Boston, right?
There you go.
But yeah, you know, to be true, I think I really think that the Knicks front office still knows that he has value around the league, even though he didn't play previous season. He showed glimpses of playing good in the FIBA tournament, and I'm saying glimpses because before the national team of France got, you know, bumped from the tournament, he was playing good. He was the leader of that team and stuff like that. So, and I can only say that he outplayed RJ Barrett in that game versus Canada. But, you know, whoever saw the game, that, you know, they're going to know it. But just to put that out of the, you know, question. But, you know, of course, you know, depending on the role of a player, he's going to show out or, you know, not show out, right? We saw Fournier not getting any kind of minutes on the Knicks, so he averaged almost nothing points. He got a totally different, you know, role on Team France, and he, you know, and he played way better basketball, right? That you know, being out of the, you know, question, I still think that the Knicks front office know that there are a couple of teams that could use Fournier in their playoff run, or, for example, a team that I mentioned before even the reports were that, you know, for example, the Spurs. I'm not sure that they're going to be a playoff team in the West this year, but a vet mentor from the same country that they got the #1 prospect in the world nowadays, Victor Wembanyama, I think he would fit perfectly on that Spurs team. Not to mention, Pops loves his European players. He knows how to use them. He has a role, you know, for a shooting guard / small forward in that system of his, running around the screens and stuff like that. That, like Doug McDermott is playing right now. Swapping those 2 guys would be a good situation probably for both of these teams. Knowing the Spurs, they're probably asking for a pick to be attached, you know, to that deal. So that's probably the case why the Knicks front office don't want to move Fournier attaching picks, because they love the picks so much. And listen, there might be a team they're closer to the deadline that's, you know, maybe their small forward or shooting guard is going to get injured to the end of the season, and those playoff hopes might be, you know, behind a, you know, a shattered glass if they don't fill a roster spot with a guy that can get you a little bit of shooting, a little bit of, you know, a couple of minutes in those positions. And I think Fournier still can be, you know, playing, even if it requires the Knicks to get a worse contract. I mean, you know, a longer contract around that number, right? And the other situation is that the Knicks are keeping Fournier because if they're going to make a move for a star or superstar player, they're going to need that salary number to fill out in that trade, because the Knicks need to send away almost exactly the same amount of money that they're bringing in. So, you know, those 18.5 million of Fournier, looking at, for example, a star player that's earning around 40 million a season, even 30 couple, that means that Fournier's salary is almost half the way. Then you just fill out the picks, which don't get salary cap numbers in the trade. And for example, another salary fillers from the roster that we have signed currently. And I think that's probably the Fournier situation. I'm not sure that they're gonna move him unless he pulls Dame Lillard, that he ain't gonna show up to camp and stuff like that. But I don't think he's that kind of a player. He already expressed more information and emotion about him not being in the Knicks plans and stuff like that, hurting his value to the Knicks front office, to getting him traded. But on the other hand, he didn't say anything that that wasn't true. So he said that if they're not using him, they're just wasting him and wasting their money because they're going to pay him to sit on the bench. I would love a situation where I'm going to be sitting on the bench and getting paid $18 million, right? So not even have to play. That's why I think that's the way. Last couple of days, and I think me and Josh literally mentioned it last trade deadline where Fournier wasn't playing, that we were thinking maybe, for example, a team like the Detroit Pistons would need him. Tons of young guys. They have a vet in Bojan Bogdanovic, with which swapping those two guys, the salary definitely match. So you just swap those two guys. They still have a vet. Maybe they would love that vet to get his minutes cut. So when you put a new guy, you can just cut him because he doesn't have any say in the new team and in the situation, right? So they're just going to bring him. They can waive him. They can cut him. They can sit him on the bench. Meanwhile, they didn't do that with Bojan. But Bojan coming to the Knicks would probably be more helpful than Fournier as far as Tibbs' system fits. And I think that's that.
Yeah. I agree. I think that I think the Knicks are holding Evan Fournier hostage right now.
Unfortunately,
it's not cool. It's kind of messed up when you think about it because and I think that's like, I think now that we've said what we just said and what you said, I think Knicks fans, we all kind of got to look at it like, I know some fans were like, why is Evan Fournier speaking up and saying this stuff now? Like, come on, man. You don't play defense. You're out here, you're on the bench, you're collecting your paycheck and you're making a big listen. I don't know, man. I can't fault him for being upset about. He was really good and quiet for a lot of the season. I even brought it up multiple times. Now, Fournier is a good teammate. He's not making a big deal. He's watching what's going on in the court. He's cheering his teammate on, even though he knows he could be out there. And it wasn't the Cam Reddish situation. Like, Cam had done stuff and said certain things on the bench to make things uncomfortable, and he asked to be traded. Like, Fournier wasn't doing that at that point. And what were you gonna say, Andy?
Yeah, that I just want to say, because you said that he doesn't play defense and stuff like that.
No. I'm saying that's what the fans are saying.
But what the fans were saying. But we saw exactly the same situation before the season that the Knicks brought Jalen Brunson on the roster. That both of our guys in the backcourt weren't playing defense. That was the situation for a couple of games. Then one of those guys got clipped, and that was Kemba Walker. He got benched, and then he got traded because he spoke up and he asked for a trade, so he got traded, right? This time around, it was literally the same situation. Neither Jalen Brunson nor Evan Fournier play great defense, and we knew that before we got both of these guys. But in this situation, they brought Jalen after Fournier, and they went with Jalen because that will make them look stupid if they brought Jalen Brunson in and then still benched him, right? So Jalen, fortunately, won the battle, so they had to make a decision. That's why Fournier got benched. And like I said, I still think that he can play basketball on the NBA level, just not in this situation, not in this philosophy, not in this offense, defense, whatever you want to call it.
Agreed.
Was
I
he?
agree with you.
Yeah, that's why I think it's kind of stupid for me, because fans blaming Fournier that he doesn't play defense. Jalen Brunson doesn't play defense too. He tries. Fournier also tries. They got limitations physically. One is slower, one is older, one is small, one is whatever you want to call it. We remember games when Fournier was playing, and he was literally the first guy on the Knicks that recorded a steal. He almost every time he had a steal in the first quarter because he was reading the passes so good, right? But that wasn't enough. So let's and listen, before we signed Fournier, we traded for him because that was a situation, and we signed Brunson. We knew that they are subpar defenders on the NBA level, so we knew what we are getting. So I don't know where Knicks fans are like, he's not playing defense. We knew that he wasn't playing defense. So why are we expecting him to do it now? He isn't a young guy that is going to develop that. So I don't get the point, right?
Well, I think I think Andy, what happens is like I think narratives get created because of what is witnessed, right? And you say, listen, Tibbs decided to cut the rotation, and he benched Fournier, he benched Cam, he benched the guys for whatever reason. Cam was playing defense, so it wasn't defense, but he benched the guys for whatever reason. And then you start to look at it like, well, we won, we were successful, and Tibbs did it without these guys. So obviously they were the issue. And that's not necessarily the case. I think it's true that Fournier and people have put it in the chat. I think Fournier was just used improperly by Tom Thibodeau. And last season, especially going to the into the regular season and into the playoffs, there's no reason why we couldn't have used Fournier in different situations. We couldn't shoot, and you got a shooter on. I don't care what nobody says. If there's one thing Fournier is, he's a shooter. Okay, we got a shooter on the bench, not using him. The freaking Miami Heat got guys that can shoot that don't play great defense either, but they were trotting them out every game. You know what I mean? Not a bunch, because a lot of guys can't play defense, but I'm just saying they got a couple, and they were trotting them out every game, and it was working, and eventually they beat us. I'm just saying, if you can't shoot and you're struggling shooting, make the adjustment, right? And put it in a situation where, okay, maybe you can't put Fournier with the ideal lineup you'd like him to be out there because there's too many non-defensive players at one, but then put him out there with a better defensive unit. Put him out there at least. Give him 5 minutes to see if he can light a spark. Like, that's the problem I had with Tom Thibodeau, because sometimes I think he misses chances just to see if he can catch lightning in a bottle. You know
and Ron, I mean? just to add about, if we like, going to Tibbs, pointing fingers. If you're losing a playoff battle, and it's not like it's a 1 or 2 game series, right? It's a 3, 4, 5, 6 game series. You need to try each and every possibility to get the W and win the series. And I remember the same situation was with the series 2 years ago versus Atlanta, and we didn't do everything possible. We still could have used some. I don't remember the situation exactly that I was trying to go back to right now, but I remember that he didn't use a player that maybe could help us back then. And the last series versus Heat, the same thing. We needed shooting. We had the shooter that literally has the next record from the previous season. And to be true, Ron, I think if you would just tell Fournier, listen, there might be a situation, be ready, because we might need you the day before the game, that was the elimination game. You just go in the locker room, go in the pregame, whatever, and say, listen, guys, I don't know what can happen. This is an elimination game. We need to try each and everything possible. I'm going to throw out crazy lineups if we're going to be down and stuff like that. So be ready. I might go, 5 guards out or 5 centers out. I don't know what's going to be the situation. But if that's, need, I'm going to do everything to get this a W. And I think Tibbs is one of those guys that we all, and I know it's easy to play, Monday night quarterback, how they say it, right? That, after the loss, we knew that he should have done something else, but he literally had a guy that can come off the bench and make a shot. And me personally, I know that I would be more comfortable with Evan Fournier taking a 3 instead of like 75 or 80% of the Knicks roster. Even Jalen Brunson. I'd rather have Fournier take that three than Jalen Brunson. Not to mention Josh Hart. Not to mention, even Julius Randle, right? So it's hard for me to understand that. But then again, he's the coach, and he coached the team better, to a better record than I was expecting the Knicks to be last season. So I can't, blame Tibbs on every situation, but there were situations that were like, why do you just don't try that, right? We still, for example, in a losing game, and I'm not saying like losing in a possession or two, just sub the guy in. Maybe he's gonna have a hot night. Maybe, and he's a player that can catch fire. So he can be like, 3 threes in like 3-4 possessions. So that can change the game around. And I'm not saying that he would be the savior. If you're down 20, just put in Fournier, he's gonna get you back in the game. No. But if the whole team is playing like crap, just try him. So it doesn't hurt you. It's not gonna, change it to worse. Even if it does, the game was lost already. So
Yeah, I mean I can't argue with you. That's fair. It's true. It is what it is. Guys, if you're just tuning in right now, please smash that like button. We got 60-something people in here, 45 likes. Show the show some love. Show YouTube we rocking. Smash that like button if you can. Don't worry, I'll wait. Okay, I'm not literally gonna wait, but you can smash the like button. I just it's not right. I don't think, like I said, I didn't see it. If there was ever a moment where Tibbs could experiment, and then we can move on from that part of the conversation. There was ever a moment when Tibbs could experiment, it was against Miami. Miami had nothing over the Knicks outside of that they're a better 3-point shooting team. They played small ball, which benefits the Knicks. We've got better rebounders than them team-wise. We as a team are more physical than them, but they have more experienced players when it comes to the playoffs. That they do have that, and better coach. And I have to give Spoelstra the better coach. You know why? But I don't see why Tibbs couldn't have experimented against Miami. Miami had a lot of handicaps in regards to their style of play and their roster. We could have taken advantages and tried certain things, because it's not a situation we're gonna get automatically destroyed because of it. But he chose to do what he did, and once again, we're just gonna have to sit back and hope he learned from it. But I do think that Fournier is definitely being held hostage. I think Andy made great points, and I think the contract is very important to the Knicks, because if the Knicks do want to try to trade for a star, like, the money is going to be an issue, and that contract has value to kind of meet and match numbers. And that sucks for Fournier, man. I mean, imagine being an NBA player. Now, don't get me wrong. He's still making 18 plus million, or 19 this year. It's 18 or 19, whatever. So it's not like you're out there for free, but you want to play basketball. Like, some people actually want to play, you don't Ron, just want to collect the check.
Yeah, and Ron, I think it's even more than that, because if like we said, he was comfortable sitting the last season out, but if he got even a little bit of minutes, what we got to realize is this is the last year of his contract. If this situation goes along, what team in the NBA is going to pay him a reasonable money? So it's his contract on the line, his career on the line. What if any NBA team doesn't want to sign him, and he's going to have to go to Europe? In Europe, the best players get like 4.5 million a season. So that's a huge drop off. And definitely at this point, he won't be the best player that's going to play in Europe. So he's not going to get even that kind of money. So, even sticking around in the NBA for the vets minimum for him is going to be like around 3 million. And, so I think that's why he wants to play. He still wants to show, even, Ron, getting a contract around 10 million for playing for a bench for a Denver Nuggets or whatever, it's still going to be great for him, instead of just going back to Europe, right? And That's why he has ambitions. Listen, he isn't that old. He could still play like 3, 4, 5 years in the NBA. So he's going to at this point, he is losing out money big time. He's going to get paid this contract, but the next contract is going to be way lower if he doesn't have the opportunity to prove himself.
Fair. I agree with that. Yeah, and Andy took the words out because that was the next thing I was going to say. It's also the last year of his contract, and it's going to affect his next contract, which is not cool. And listen, Billy Goat, salute to you, my brother. He says Fournier is gone at the trade deadline. Don't feel sorry for making $18 million. But hold on. You got to look at it from a different standpoint, Billy. The Knicks struggle to get star players here, right? You got people doing polls about coaches and who they want to play for, and Tibbs not being high on the list. This is the type of stuff that if you're a basketball player in the NBA, you look at and say, so the Knicks will pay you money if they get you, right? So that's a plus. They're trending in the right direction. They got Jalen Brunson. They're winning games. Okay, that's a plus. They made it to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years and made it to the second round last year. That's a plus. But they benched Fournier, making $18 million. He was a good player for them, a model citizen. And now it's the offseason going into the next year, and he's asking to be traded, and they're still not trading him. And NBA players are smart, and their agents are smart too.
Yeah,
they know why Fournier is still on the Knicks, right? And then the other thing is the Cam Reddish situation. You look at Cam, you say they traded Cam, they gave up a first-round pick, and then they sit him down, even though at the time before he had a couple bad games, before they sat him down, he was people were like, Cam is our best defensive player, if you guys remember during that time, right? And then he had a couple stinkers, especially that Dallas game was a stinker. He looked bad out there. And then he started talking behind the scenes, which we didn't know yet. But they're looking at it like, man, they are still struggling to kind of find who they are. And they got Cam sitting on the bench, and they're not playing this young guy. And this is the last year of his contract. Players look at that and like, yo, the Knicks affect people's livelihoods. So
and Ron,
look at that.
And listen, Ron, I bet you that a good basketball agent, not only in the NBA, if he is really caring about the player, he's going to find him a team, find him a situation when he's going to get playing time. Because it's not a huge deal to sign a guy to a big contract and let him, sit on the bench or play on a crappy team that he won't have, showing out and the opportunity to play on a better team next season or stuff like that. And that's even more important here in Europe. I know a friend that plays in the highest, Polish league, and he's like, listen, I had the opportunity to play with the, Polish championship, the championship team, right? But I would be a bench player, get around 10 or less minutes. I rather go to the third, fourth team and get like 30 minutes a game. Because I'm going to have more recognition, and I'm going to be able to sign my last and final contract of my career, in a season or two, right? So he's like, listen, I could have get an easy medal because the team is like so far ahead, right? But he's like, I could have gotten a gold medal and said that I was a Polish national championship, right? Champion. But that's less important for me than riding off to the sunset at 32 instead of playing till 36 and still get more money. So like I said, a good agent is gonna make you find the best situation for yourself. That's why sometimes the player asks for a trade. But for me, still, that those situations should be done by agents behind the scenes, so the team that you were playing for doesn't get like hold it back because they know that this player wants out, so we're not going to give him fair value and stuff like that. Be fair to your current team, and that's going to go a longer way around the NBA in your situation than just ask for a trade here, ask for a trade there, ask for a trade with third team, right? We saw players that go there. And it's like, you want to, for example, if I want to recruit a guy, an employee to my company, if he brings me the CV, and I basically don't look at the CV. The only thing I look at the CV is like how much jobs that person has, right? And if he's like jumping every 2 or 3 months, I'm not going to hire him, because till I get him, accustomed to the team and to the, company, he's going to change the job, right? So I'm not hiring. That's the only minus that I have, because he doesn't have to have the education that I need in my company and stuff like that, because I know that sometimes people wouldn't give in their education, but they still know more than the people that got the certain certificates, education, courses, or whatever, right? He can show me that on a daily basis. So, the certificates, whatever, degrees, that I throw out of the window. Only thing I look at the CV is how much jobs and how much the person was loyal to his former, employee.
Right. And when you say CV, you're basically kind of talking about like a resume, right?
Yeah, like a resume. Exactly. Right. So that's the thing, right? And if someone asks out here, out there, and ends the agreements, ends the the cooperation, then why I'm going to build a relationship with you if you're probably going to bail on me in a month or two?
Right.
Why lose my time, right? So
and
that's the same with players. They ask out, so the third team. Look at Cam Reddish. He went to Portland. He went to the Lakers. He went, he went there, and still didn't pan out. He's not gonna get that many more shots in the NBA. He's gonna be playing in Europe in a couple of years.
It's true. Shout out to D's World of Hoops. He had mentioned this a couple. No, it was longer than that. Maybe like 4, 5, 6 months ago. He had mentioned like the average lifespan of the average NBA player is about 4 years, because at that point they're out of their rookie deal and teams start to know, can this guy cut it? Can this guy hack it in the NBA? And so that point, that 4-year mark, is when that stuff happens. So that's why you see a lot of young players. You're like, hey, what happened to this guy? Where is he in the league? What happened to Terrence Williams? Remember Terrence Williams? He was brought in by the Nets. He was a high flyer. He could shoot the three. People thought he was going to be the next big thing. Didn't pan out. What happened to the Harold Miners of the world? You know what I mean? Like the baby Jordan is what they used to call him. Like, I don't, things like that happen. But shout out to Billy Goat once again. Will a star player get the Fournier treatment though? No. Yes, that's true. But even if they don't think they'll be treated the same way, they still look at it like, why am I going to go to the Knicks? Because they do treat players like that. And those players are going to be role players that I'm going to need to succeed. And at some point as a star player, you might say, I'm not going to have it forever. Why would I want to be with an organization like that that's going to treat me in that way? You never know.
But Ron, even to go further with this, is that true? Kemba Walker, he was an all-star. Derrick Rose was an all-star, and he was wanting to play on the Knicks. And Tibbs, as one of the closest people in the league, still didn't give him playing time. And he, Taj Gibson, I'm not saying that Taj was an all-star, but he was looking for playing time on a coach that he was going around the league right after him. He went to the Timberwolves. He went, whenever Tibbs went, he went with them there, right? And he looks for the minutes and the opportunity with the Wizards instead of the Knicks, right? So you never know. You might get brought into a team, and then you just fell out of the graces and from the circle and stuff like that. So and we see a guy that's getting paid $18.5 million. He's just going to ride out the season on the bench. So it doesn't hurt the organization paying him that money. So it doesn't matter probably if it's going to be 22, 25 million. Of course it's a, rarer situation that a, high paid player is going to be riding on the bench, but it still can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Sherwin. I don't know if I agree with that. Not now that he's in the last year of the contract, especially with the new CBA deal and the TV deal and all that stuff, and the contract starting to go up, and now you see the money's going up. I don't think this Fournier $18 million is going to hurt a team to pick up the asset, get an expiring contract, and a guy that might be able to help you off the bench when you need some 3-point shooting. I don't think it's that big of a deal at this point. I just, like I said, I think they're trying to hold on to him because of what Andy alluded to as well. The contract does help them meet. If they do decide to make a move, it helps them meet some of that threshold, because who else is making money that they could, not everybody's making 18 million, right? So you're going to have to match the contract. A good contract that we had, that even Sim had brought up, that there might be a chance they bring him back just because of, the ability to move the contract, was Derrick Rose. But yeah, that money's gone now.
And Sharon, just to point out, when we were signing him, that money wasn't bad because we had a different role for him. When he was breaking the Knicks record, nobody was saying that he's overpaid. When you said a guy, you can say that if you pay a guy 10 million a year and your coach doesn't play him, you're going to be like, wait, whoa, we overpaid this guy. Why is he getting 10 million if he ain't getting, a daylight of on the court, right? So it's, unless it's a vet minimum that a roster filling spot. So that's the thing. And like I said, if we used Fournier differently, this wouldn't be even an issue.
Right. That's true. Let me read a couple more and get to the super chat. Shoot, where I just had it, I lost it. I don't know where it went. Oh, whatever. Let me get to the super chat. Thank you, Angry Knick fans. Appreciate the generous super chat. He said, agree or disagree? We are one superstar level player away from the Larry O'Brien trophy under Tibbs. I'm going to say we are one particular player away from competing for the trophy, depending on which player it is and what our roster looks like when we acquire that player. It's very important, because not only you got to get the guy in, but it's who you give up and who you're left with after you get the guy in to see what the team looks like. So it depends on what the player is. Like if you bring in Donovan Mitchell here,
and not lose anyone,
yeah. Then yes, like or to give up something minimal and we're able to get them where it's not a lot of actual players, but it's more of compensation and draft pick stuff. Somehow, I'm not saying it can happen, but somehow, then maybe. But then it becomes, if it's like a Joel Embiid, right, or a Giannis, this is crazy. But if it's like that, you're going to have to give up a lot. So it's like, who are you left with, and how does the team look like on paper with what you got left? So I don't want to say yes. It doesn't. It allows them to be in a position to compete depending on what they got left and how they can fill out the rest of the roster. I definitely think they'd be able to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Depending on what they got left. I don't like it. That's all crazy because you never know. Listen, a lot of Knicks fans undervalue Julius Randle for what he does here. And if you were to go bring in, say, Giannis and send out Julius, okay, that's not bad, right? But who else are you sending out? Because it won't just be Julius. And then you start to look at, well, if RJ goes or if Quickley goes, and I don't know. It's all crazy. I can't even think about it because who knows what would have to happen for that to happen. So, but I think it depends. That's what I'll say. Andy, what's your thoughts?
Ron, just let me get a shout out to Evergreen. That he says the wool cousin. I said the long lost cousin, lost cousin. But Evergreen, welcome to the show, bro. I didn't see you, for a couple of bits. So that's one thing. Ron, me personally, answering this question, I don't even think we need a superstar level player to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that would basically get you to the NBA Finals. I think if we were able, for example, to trade several first-round picks and money of an Evan Fournier, an example, and extended Emmanuel Quickley for a guy like Mikal Bridges, that would push RJ to the bench or RJ to the shooting guard position and playing Mikal Bridges on the 3 with Julius Randle, with Mitchell Robinson and JB at the point guard, having off the bench Dante DiVincenzo, Quentin Grimes, and a couple of, Josh Hart and those guys, Isaiah Hardenstein, and a fill-in. I think that probably gets you to the Eastern Conference Finals. At least the expectations would be that when you would start a season with that kind of roster. And it's not only because it's the Villanova guys, right? So
no.
You get that kind of a roster because for me it's and everybody says, and I could also attend to this U.S. national team that failed to win the gold medal last FIBA Cup, right? It's not always about playing 5 superstars or 10 superstar level star players on your team, because you still have one ball. You got to have role players. You got to have guys that don't need the ball to be effective. What's the Ron? It's like, if you're going to have 5 shooters, you still have one ball. They ain't going to shoot in one position 5 times. So you got to have a rebounder. You got to have a defensive guy. You got to have guys that are going to be comfortable in their roles, that are not going to be willing to shoot. Guys like Frank Ntilikina, a guy like Josh Hart, a guy like Quentin Grimes. If he makes a shot, cool. But he's not asking the ball. He's not going to be like, oh, I ain't playing no defense if I ain't getting a shot. He has to play the defense first. If he gets a shot, that just makes his morale, higher, right? But it's like, it's like in the gameplay, and that's one of the oldest rules. The center gets a block and he runs down the court, throwing the ball. So you just kind of give him something that he's going to be happy with, that he's going to dunk the ball or stuff like that, right? Like a award, the ball. Giving him the ball, for example, Mitchell Robinson on the alley-oop is just the biggest award that he can get from his teammates, because he can't do anything else. That's going to be the biggest award and reward that he can get. So if you have a guy like Mitch Robinson and Quentin Grimes on your team, you still can build and provide a good offensive team with just having 3 guys that are able to score. You don't have to have 5 scorers to score. And even if you have 5 scorers, you're not going to be able to score each and every possession. So, it's, for me, it's simple as that. You got to have role players. And that was the same thing with the U.S. national team. Of course, they got beat mainly because they couldn't rebound the ball, and their big men were too weak to play versus, the European big men, because every game they lost was versus a European team. That's why I'm just saying European, not because I live in Europe now. But
right.
Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler, they couldn't. These European big men were dancing with them in the paint like it was a dance contest. Vucevic, Valanciunas, and they know these guys from the NBA. Ron, how easy could it be to scout a guy? They know, they got scouting reports on all these guys, and they still, whoop them, dance with them in the paint. And that was the worst thing. They couldn't grab rebounds. Every game they lost, they got out rebounded by Daniel Theis. Who is Daniel Theis in the NBA? He's a role player, literally a role player. So, listen, for me, the team wasn't built that bad because they had players. And listen, they had a baller. They had Brandon Ingram. He got upset because he didn't have the ball too much in his hands, right? So, listen, if you would have like 5 more of those, superstar players, LeBron, Dame, whoever, what, you can just give them 3 balls on the court so they can shoot? The same, listen, Jalen Brunson's role was totally different on this U.S. national team that he has the role on the Knicks, right? Everybody has to adjust because it's a new team, a new situation for them. So these guys average 20 points per game in the NBA. They ain't going to average 20 points per game in FIBA tournament because there's not that many possessions that they have. So what is this what is this? I don't know why we all of a sudden want every, superstar from the NBA. You think if the US national team gets LeBron, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and stuff like that, they're gonna average the same amount of points that they average in the NBA in the FIBA tournament? They're definitely not gonna do that because
You're
there's
right.
not that many possessions, unless they shoot 110% out of the field, which is not possible. That they're going to make each and every shot in the game. So, and I understand because I see Billy Goat that NBA isn't FIBA. I know. I'm just saying, right, that having 10 All Stars ain't gonna get you a certain championship, because this guy's gonna be upset about this guy's gonna be upset about that. All of these superstars might be like, I ain't getting the rebound. I'm just going to be playing on offensive end. And that's going to be also a problem. So for me, the only problem that the current US national team had in FIBA was lack of rebounding, bad big man. And I'm not blaming Grant Hill on it, because maybe the big man that he wanted just, declined the invitation for the team. So it's not his fault. But, we see that in FIBA competition, the game is totally different than in the NBA. The NBA, you can roll out a small ball lineup and just try to win the game with shooting. What Steve Kerr tried to do with Team USA. And in the international games, that didn't work. Easy as that. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That is true. And I do think that, yeah, if the Knicks could make a smaller trade, not a small, but a trade that doesn't give up a lot, and we keep a lot of the core and add a Mikal Bridges, I definitely think they can make the Eastern Conference Finals with him and maybe go further, because he gives us something that we've been clamoring for, a defensive 3-and-D wing. And I see a couple people, and thanks once again, Angry Fans, appreciate you. I see a couple people in the chat talking about Bridges and his height and his positioning. Well, first off, Bridges is 6'6", and if you guys might be stuck on the 6'8" height, 6'7", 6'8" from the small forward position, but Bridges is 6'6" with a 7'1" wingspan. He may be smaller than the 6'8" guy, but he plays big with them long arms, and he's one of the better defenders in the league. So it's not as big a deal as you might think it is. That's one.
And
Two,
the other thing is, if I can add, Ron, that Bridges is one of those players that he doesn't have bad possessions. He's not like, oh, let me take a shot here, let me take a shot there. If I'm gonna make him, it's gonna be cool. If not, no. He only takes open shots. He only takes good possessions and stuff like that. He's one of those players that if he takes a shot, rarely you're gonna be pissed at him. Meanwhile, the Knicks have a couple of players in RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, even Julius Randle. Even if you look at the shot selection of Jalen Brunson, you can be like, we couldn't get a better possession out of this, play. Just a fadeaway shot over 2-3 guys, or let me just run into the paint, get into a contact collision, and try to make a shot. No, an open shot is way better than a shot that I'm just gonna roll into the paint in a clogged paint and get contact and try to hoist it up there. At least for me.
Yeah. No, I mean that's I can agree with that. That's fair. Where was it? Ranrock had said, do you think if the Knicks had that USA team the way it was, could we win the chip? Well, I will tell you this. I don't know if we could win the chip, but we definitely fighting for the chip. Eastern Conference Finals easy, maybe the championship round. Would we win? I'm not for certain on that. I will say that they would have a good shot to win it all because the NBA currently is small. Overall, the current NBA teams are small and play a lot of small ball here and there. There's a couple teams you do have to worry about, but are they good enough to use their height to their advantage? The only team that we've seen really do it well is Denver. But even Denver has moved around some pieces, so we'll see what they turn into next year. But, the other issue that I say, Team USA has two issues. They're small and they don't shoot the ball that well as a team. They got a couple players who can shoot, but as a team, they don't shoot the ball that well. So that always going to come back to fight, to bite you. You never know what's going to happen with that. So I'm not going to say for sure that they would definitely win, because if they play a good team that just has it going at the right time, that can knock down the three, you'd be surprised how you could lose, even with all those good players on the team. So who knows? Who knows? I don't know. That's a whole nother question. But it's an interesting one that you put out there, and something to look at. So in a minor move, right? In a minor move, the Knicks did something that, I mean, you can't really, whatever. You can't put too much stock in. It's a nice thing. I don't know what it means. You know what I mean? I don't, the Knicks do a lot of relationship stuff, and this move is very similar. So RJ Barrett's college teammate added to the Westchester Knicks. So, if you guys remember, RJ Barrett played on Duke, which is not no shock, right? And his college teammate, who could knock it down, right? He got a good jump shot, 3-point shot. It's kind of like a journeyman type player. What am I want to say about this? Because any type of development league move doesn't really mean anything. But all it does is say, hey, this is one of your guys, and maybe, we'll look out and give him an opportunity. Like Alex O'Connell is a decent, player that you could put on the development league. I keep saying the development league. Like, I don't know. It's just a nice thing, a gesture. That's one of those relationship things. Once again, will he have a chance to make the Knicks? Probably not. But it's a chance for him to get a little money, play for Westchester. If the Knicks at some point, he might be brought up just to sit on the bench to be a part of the big club, and to be able to talk to RJ.
Fly the team jet.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it, man. This is one of those, definitely a relationship move right there. But it might be a cool thing. So the Knicks do a lot of that stuff where we've seen them throughout the years do a lot of signing pickups, and then we see them cut people. But when you sign them and keep them for a little while, they're able to get some money, so a little contract flow. So, the Knicks do that a lot. I don't know. Maybe this is another one of those things. That's it. That's all I got. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what it is.
Ron, if I can add something on this, listen, guys, this is how the world works. For example, if you're trying to do business with someone, and for example, if I'm a company owner like I am, right? If I get a recommendation from a good friend of the guy that's, accepting the contract from that company that I want to work with, he might, bring me into the business mold. And for example, in this situation, a player to the team that, like Ron said, is not going to cost the Knicks much. It's just a small favor, right? Meanwhile, that guy is going to have exposition. That guy is going to have a history that he was on the Westchester Knicks instead of playing in Poland here, right? In a team that he doesn't know where to pinpoint the city on the map, right? So that's a way bigger thing for that player, right? And for me, for example, as a businessman, it would be a way bigger thing to work with a company that I coming off just the street and laying down my offer, I would probably never get through the door with, right? Meanwhile, I got recommended, and that's how I get the job. And if I do the job correctly or if I do the job badly, that's all me. So if that guy screws up, RJ is going to be like, listen, I got you the opportunity. You screwed up it on yourself, so it's not my thing. And I bet you that probably more than 50% of people got, their jobs because someone recommended them. and that's nothing bad if they fulfilled their contract, fulfilled their side of the business. I think that's nothing bad, and that's how world works. Unfortunately, these days, right? So that's nothing that nothing that's just like unexpected for me. We knew that, and we know that that's not only with the Knicks. It works all around the league, all around other businesses, and all around the world. So it's nothing surprising, and stuff like that. We could go back to the Melo days when there was a situation where Amari Stoudemire, bodyguard, was the chief of the Knicks. How do you say it? Security and stuff like that. That's why I think the Kristaps situation built it up and blew over, because everybody had a friend, got their job for a friend. That's why Kristaps wanted his brother on the Knicks, also payroll, and that's why it backfired, because he didn't have that much cachet at that moment. So you got to be smart with it, and that's just how the world rolls. So
yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think that's what it is, man. It happens all around the league. We're just talking about it because we're not as used to it being this prevalent with this new Knick front office over the past years. They've been doing a lot of it. I'm sure it's happened in the past that we just don't pay attention to it as much, or maybe they don't announce it as much and doesn't happen as much. It's happening more now. So we're seeing it a lot. There's so many of these little moves. How many little moves do the Knicks make throughout the year? They make a lot, and these moves don't amount to anything, but you just see, oh, Knicks signed this guy, blah, blah, blah. Knicks signed this guy. Knicks signed. They move them all over. They add them to the Westchester Knicks, or, whatever, favors and different things. And it is basketball. All the teams do it. I mean, now, in fairness, he was a better player, but that was still a favor too. Back in the day when J.R. Smith was here, the Knicks brought Chris Smith in. I mean, he wasn't the greatest player. He could play a little bit though, but that's a favor. It's favors. It happens all the time. So before
look at Giannis with the Bucks.
Oh my God, the biggest favor ever.
He got two brothers on that team.
Even now the rest of the league is talking about it. Now other guys is like, yeah, do you think Thanasis would be on the Milwaukee if it wasn't for Giannis? Of course not.
Yeah,
kidding me? This guy,
exactly.
But I got to tell you, that kind of points to how bad the Bucks were in a certain way too. They had Thanasis playing power forward. What? Whatever. I don't know. I'm not even going to question it. The Bucks have some stuff they got to work out.
Let me. I want to piggyback on this because.
Oh wait, hold on. Don't forget before you do that. Let me just send this message. I told you guys I'm doubling down on this, man. We got to get back to where we used to be. Smash that like button, guys. Okay, continue, Andy.
Yeah, that I was just gonna say that Thanasis, before he resigned with the Bucks, he said that the Knicks were in contact with him to get back on the Knicks, and I was like, well, they ain't getting you here on the Knicks to play minutes. They getting you here because maybe Giannis is gonna, come in the next season and stuff like that, because you definitely ain't gonna get minutes on this Knicks roster, right? So I was like, yeah, that was the thing that I was thinking, like, yeah, okay, they're trying this dance, from the beginning, step one, there we go, and stuff like that. So,
yep,
yeah, this is life. This is life. So.
Yeah, this is what they do, man. This is what they do. This is to be expected. It's how they move, and that's just this is what our front office is. That's what they do. Shout out to Paris Duggar. Thank you for the generous super chat. He said Brunson and I are both leaving if we pay Randle a max. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this, Paris, because this is my true feeling and true thought on it. I feel like if that's a lot. If the Knicks pay Julius a max, then that means Julius Randle did something to earn that max. That's my feeling. So if Knicks pay him that money, then Julius Randle did something. He got us to the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what I mean? Like, he did something. I'm not, because I don't think the Knicks are just going to throw money at Julius Randle just thank you for being here and being. I think I really do think they're trying to win. Okay, and I think that Julius Randle is a piece that you may need, and he may be one of your best options. But I don't think they're going to give this guy the max unless something crazy had to happen. Now, I don't know what the max would be for Julius either. But if you're saying the max is 300 million, never. But if the max for Julius is say 240, 250, something like that, if Julius Randle gets us to the Eastern Conference Finals and has a good playoff, I mean, what are we going to say? The dude was 25, 10, and 4. If he gives me 25, 10, and 4 again this year and gets us to the playoffs and gets in the playoffs and plays the same way in the playoffs, I don't know, guys. I get it, but I don't know. It's tough. It's not easy to find guys like that, especially guys who step up and play that way when it matters. I don't know if he can do it. I don't know if he will do it. We haven't seen it yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks gave him money for that type of effort. Because remember, we haven't been to Eastern Conference Finals in forever. So I don't know. Andy, your thoughts on Julius getting the bag?
Oh, well, Ron, like you said, and I don't want to trigger Parrish here, but if that would be the case, that Brunson would be pissed if Julius is getting the 300 million contract. I bet that Julius is going to be like, let me take a $20 million pay cut here. And I'm going to take the 280 million. And that's not going to be the max. Jalen's going to be like, okay, I'm going to take the 280 next season too. And let's ride it along. But yeah, that's only, of course, like Ron, you said, he has to prove more. And currently, I still think that Julius Randle's contract is a good contract. So, listen, I don't think that Jalen can be mad at him that he has a bad contract for the team, for the organization, and stuff like that. I don't think that's even the case. So, I think currently, the only problem as far as the contract situation goes is if Emmanuel Quickley gets paid around that money that Jalen Brunson is earning. That can be the steering of in the pot, unless we pay IQ and we trade him because we got the bigger salary number. So he can get paid 25 million the next season, but he ain't gonna get paid 25 million by the Knicks. He's gonna get paid, for example, by the Cavs because we're gonna get Donovan Mitchell back for him and Fournier and a pick and picks, right? So if that's the case, cool. He can get because he's even if we extend Quickley, that salary is going to kick in after this season. That meaning, for example, it comes July after the playoffs, or July 1st, the trade moratorium opens, and we're trading Fournier and Quickley for Donovan Mitchell and several picks from the Knicks, right? If that's the case, cool. We can extend, and I'm going to sleep every night of the season, even knowing that Quickley is going to get 25 million more than Jalen Brunson, right? So if that's the case, I'm cool with it. But if he gets more millions than Jalen Brunson and we go into the next season paying Quickley more than Jalen Brunson, I might be gone with Parrish looking for another team.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what that max turns out to be. But I do think that I could see a scenario where the Knicks are still able to acquire one extra star type player, maybe lower echelon, maybe not the big Joel Embiid, Giannis types, but at the highest, maybe a Donovan Mitchell, but maybe more of a guy like a Mikal Bridges, but maybe not him, but along the lines, right, to add to the team and still keep Julius get paid over 200 million, but not too crazy. Like I said, I could see it happening, and then them also trying to figure out a way to keep Brunson. I could see it happening. I just don't, because as much as we say stuff about Julius Randle, those numbers that he puts up, it's not easy to get that from a power forward in the league. So all Julius really doesn't have to do much. He just has to give you a little bit more effort on the defensive end than he's been giving, and get into the playoffs and just play basketball. Stop thinking about whatever's going on. Hopefully he's not injured and he's healthy and not recovering from something, but just go out there and play basketball. And if he just plays like he's been playing every season for the most part, he's fine and he's worth the money. Not a max, not like them super maxes and stuff, but a good amount of money. 200 plus million. I'm sure Julius will be happy because he took, I mean, that contract 117, whatever it that's a discount for the, it is what it is. He deserves to get paid if he keeps doing that.
Ron, I would even go further with Julius and his game. If he can keep his temper and his head in the game, he has all the skills that we need Julius to have on the offense, on the defense. If he just doesn't play off of emotions, the Knicks are going to be successful. Because, like I said, on the offense, he has the skill set. I don't think you can expect more on the offense from a guy that's getting paid like him. And the same on defense, unless he's, because he's a capable defender. He's just playing bad defense because his head is in the game. That's why when he's losing his guy, that's when he's, fouling without, a need for the team for him to get that foul and stop the possession. So it's only about that. If Julius's head is in the game and he doesn't lose his temper, doesn't play off of emotions, Julius Randle is definitely worth his contract.
Yeah, that I think that's true. I agree with that. We definitely undervalue Julius sometimes when he's playing the right type of basketball and his head is in the game. That's 100% true. When he does the other stuff, he is what we thought he was. But I think, I think that we'll see. Long Island Sound, thank you for tuning in. As always, my brother, hope you're doing well. He said Donovan is a top 20 NBA player, but the discussion is Dante, RJ, Randle, and Ryan. Evan Quickley sell out 41 times a season. Why get great? Why? Well, I think that's also, he's also referring to the chat too. But I think that man, listen. The Knicks are looking at things differently. Okay. For us as fans, we're still getting used to the idea of us having a winning team again, and Knicks having some aspirations towards improving and being better. But I definitely think they are. And I think they're really trying to make the right decision going forward. I think that, they're holding guys hostage for the contracts. They're really examining Emmanuel Quickley and if he's worth giving the extension right now, even though I know it looks like he is pushing to be $100 million man, and his agent probably has that in mind. The Knicks are still trying to survey everything and see what makes sense. The other thing, honestly, the longer you wait, the more I would want to wait. I'm not saying I would want to wait until the end of the until the end of the season to try to gamble with Quickley. But I'm saying the more and more I wait, I kind of want to see Quickley out there on the court to see if he's improved and how he plays with DiVincenzo being here as well. Like how this whole thing works. And I also want to see my investment with DiVincenzo. Like I kind of want to see what we got before giving Quickley that bag. That's my opinion.
It doesn't hurt the Knicks to wait, because even if we don't extend Quickley, because I think the date is late September, if I'm correct. Late September or October, right? But it doesn't hurt the Knicks to wait, because he's going to be a restricted free agent, which means that he can get the contract offer somewhere
and we can match
the Knicks can match, or we can resign and trade him. So you still can, trade him unless you can't work out a deal with the team that he wants to sign. So then they're like, why we got to lose players? So we're just gonna sign him off, of the extension. But we would have to look at the teams that are gonna have the cap space that will be able, and if they're gonna be interested in Quickley, right? Because there might be a dry out market. Maybe every team that has salary cap space, they got a young prospect signed on deals, or they got the backcourt settled. So nobody's going to sign Quickley for 25 million a year just to play him off the bench. So maybe Quickley is thinking like, listen, I'm going to get this kind of money, so that's why I'm negotiating this kind of contract with the Knicks. But when you're looking at this, the things can change around the trade deadline, because someone might make a move and the next game plan might, get derailed on that day. But also we can try to trade Quickley on his current contract, which is going to be probably a fair amount, and then just let the new team get the extension done, after the season. He's still going to be a restricted free agent for them. So, this is a tricky situation. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan a huge fan of Emmanuel Quickley. So me just hearing around 20 million for him is like, it's like, I don't even have a comp. Tough. I don't even have a comparison for this. It's like, rather give Julius 50 million a year than Quickley 25. It's like, it's that kind of crazy for me. So,
well, I mean, but that's the thing, Andy. That's why I said I want to see what Quickley can do, because I want to see the work he did this offseason. I want to see if it affects his game. I want to see if he improves from what we saw from last year, because obviously the playoffs was horrific and he got hurt. Then he came back, but he was still not playing that great. At least Grimes, you want to say he didn't play well offensively either. But when he came back, when we got into like the Miami series, he had some really good defensive stops and he made some plays, right? But, Quickley kind of still trying to find his way. The start of the regular season wasn't great for Quickley either. It took him a while to just start playing regular basketball. So I'm concerned about all that.
And Ron, just let me make one more thing clear with me and the relationship with Emmanuel Quickley here. I know his skill set, right? And it's good. For me, his problem is his mind, his shot selection. He plays like he's Donovan Mitchell. He ain't no Donovan Mitchell. You got to know your role. Stay in your lane. You're a guy off the bench. Don't try to be a superstar. That's why I'm pissed. We're up, we're down, and he's taking crazy shots. That's not the way to go. You're still young. You don't have to be the superstar of this team. I understand sometimes if the game is lost, you can go ahead, try to get yours and stuff like that. But he's doing that, the second, third possession, when he's coming off the bench. We don't need that. This is a system, a hard system played basketball game by Tibbs. I'm surprised that he ain't yanking him straight up to the end of the bench. I don't know, maybe he has something on Tibbs or stuff like that, but and Ron, I really tend to do this because I play basketball on college level and stuff like that. But for me, when I played on the court and I had a teammate with me that played the kind of game like Quickley does, I was pissed. I was furious to play with that guy on the court. I would love to play a guy with like Frank Ntilikina that's going to defend, that doesn't want to shoot, and I'm going to be able to score, right? I love those kind of teammates. But teammates like Quickley, dude is gonna hoist a three before I get down the offensive half court. I would be steaming out of my ears, bro, yelling at that dude. Maybe because I'm 38 and I saw tons of basketball, and that dude might be like, oh, let me shoot, and some guy's gonna be, oh, it fell, so okay, you can't say anything bad. No, basketball is a team game. You gotta give touches around the team and stuff like that, so everybody's happy, because this needs to be a happy team, so it's gonna have good achievements and good records. If that's not going to be the case, he's just egocentric for me, and those are one of the worst players to play with on a team, because this is a team sport. You want to be
that's fair.
you want to rely on yourself, go do sprints.
That's fair. Well, here's the interesting thing, and let me just answer this question. Shaw Legacy said, "Who's the worst defender in the starting lineup on the roster completely?" It's got to be Jalen Brunson, I think.
Ooh.
I mean, but RJ's right there too.
Yeah.
So
RJ is right there. I think, if you would look at the capabilities of these two guys, I think Jalen would be the worst one, because he's small. He's just small. That's his.
He can't help. He can't help.
Yeah,
that.
he can't grow. He's not going to defend on his fingers, right? So that's why. But I think it's a close call, though. RJ,
no, that's why I said. I mean, RJ's right there with them. But
yeah, RJ is losing guys. I remember even this FIBA tournament, he lost the guy from Brazil. That's why they lost the game. The dude went back door on him and scored the ball of the under the hoop for them to literally seal the game out.
Yeah, it's tough, man. You gotta figure something out with that. I don't know what's the best way to combat what we've seen by RJ and his slow footwork and reaction time when it comes to being on the defensive end. To what you were saying about Quickley, I agree with you. I think he takes a lot of his shot selection is very poor. But here's a weird thing. Even though I agree with you, I'd actually like to see Emmanuel Quickley take more shots.
Oh,
not bad shots though. What I would like to see is him take more 3-point shots closer to the 3-point line. Right. I'd like to see him take set shots, not the I'm going to come up and pull up, jack the shot up type stuff, or you throw me the ball and I'm like 3/4 behind the 3-point line and I'm going to shoot from there. Like, I don't want to see that, but I would want to see him take more actual 3-point shots. Because if you think about it, let me just double check that, because this is in my head. This is just what I'm seeing. But you could say what you're going to say, Andy.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. I don't know if you saw him playing 2K on Twitter. There was a video when he couldn't make a shot with himself and he was wide open. And I tweeted like, listen, that's not your shot. You got a shot and shoot in traffic and take a bad shot. That's when you're going to make them. And I tweeted at him because there was, I can't make a shot. How is this possible? I was like, that's not your shot, bro. You got to shoot in traffic and stuff like that. That's when you're going to make one. So,
although I will say, in fairness, this year's 2K is probably the worst 2K in history for shooters. And the developers have already talked about they're trying to make the game more realistic. So the timing has changed. You really have to lock into the way you shoot to be able to even shoot consistently. A lot of fans of 2K, a lot of gamers are really upset about that. So this is a whole big thing happening. But whatever. But I see what your point is. I agree with you. What you're trying to say. Even his shot selection in the game may not be good. But so like my example that I'm trying to say is Quickley averages a little over 5 shots from 3 per game. I think Emmanuel Quickley should be around 7 shots per game.
Ron, he's taking, out of those 5, he's taking 4 bad shots.
No. That I agree, but that's why I'm saying I not only want him to take more shots, I want him to take better shots. So it's not like Quickley because sometimes I think Quickley is too confident in himself. His range, he thinks he's Steph Curry, which he's not. And I think a lot of guys, not a lot, but there's a good amount of guys in the league that have to be woken up to that fact. You're just not Steph Curry. Like even Jordan Poole, who's probably a better shooter than Quickley because he just makes more, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. And he's not Steph Curry either.
and Ron, sometimes there are just people on this world that are good, bad shot takers, right? That they're going to take a bad shot and it's going to go in. And you're like, dude, I can live with that shot. And then he's taking it again and again, and he's making them. And you're like, look at Jokic. Jokic shoots those rainbow shots, and you're like, come on, man. Come on. You're really going to make those shots? And he's making them. And that's a different thing because Quickley he's hot and cold. You never know what you're gonna get from him and stuff like that. If that would be his shot, I would understand. But I still rather him play out the set. You're gonna get an open opportunity. If not you, it's gonna be Grimes. If not you, it's gonna be RJ. Why are you jacking up a shot? That's the thing. And the second thing is, or even the first thing is, that that's a bad shot. You got 4 more teammates that are pissed at you because you took a bad shot and one of them goes while those guys were open, or the plays were supposed to be, them getting the ball, and you just broke up the play and jacked up a shot. That's the bad thing. And I think that's the most painful thing. And like I said, if he would be taking 5 open threes, I would be cool with it. I don't like Quickley because he's taking bad shots. That's the biggest thing for me with Quickley. Biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean that's that. Listen, that's fair. I can't argue. I mean, we all know as Knicks fans, Quickley his shot selection has been poor. I just think
Ron,
okay.
Yeah, and let me add, because Steph always corrects me like this, but his defense is getting better. Yeah, on his rookie contract, on his first year, rookie season, Quickley was so bad on defense. I don't even want to remember those times. It was so bad. I agree. He is way better on defense. He's developed on that. He really worked on it. You can see it. But if you're gonna play a bonehead game, you're still going to get, be a player. Listen, look at the Denver Nuggets, the current NBA champions. They had a clone of Emmanuel Quickley on their roster. And what they do in Bones Highland, they traded him. I bet you they traded him because he just played, not perfect basketball, worthy a team culture and a championship culture. That's why they moved him. He was a prospect, a really good prospect that you probably wouldn't trade. Knicks fans would be pissed if we trade Quickley on his rookie deal. Yeah. That's the only thing that I'm saying. If you want to have championship culture, you can't have guys that are looking for themselves, right? So,
yeah. No, I mean, listen, that's true. That's true. And the good teams make those type of choices because they know what fits their culture and what they're trying to do. That's why Denver was able to trade a Bones Highland, because they knew that, they'd probably be better without him. Shout out to Danny Landis in the building. Salute, my guy. Appreciate you as always. Like I said, once again, if I haven't been able to get to all you guys, it's not for lack of trying. It's, I can't see everything. There's a lot of stuff going on. Appreciate you guys. David Smith in the building. Salute to you, my brother. Thank you for being here and watching and tuning in. The Knicks going nowhere with Tibbs, and this front office and roster reached their ceiling last year. Well, we got to wait and see on that. But, who knows? We see. It may be true, but, we got to see how the game plays out. Alex Isaac is in the building. Salute. He says, man, leave Quickley alone. You fantasize about other teams' players. You lacking credibility. I think he's
talking to me.
Chat.
No,
he's not talking to you.
No problem, Alex. I can take criticism. I know I'm just saying from my point, my basketball philosophy. You can be cool with Quickley. I'm not saying that, Quickley is the worst player in the league. No, but he's just not my type of basketball player. That's why I would easily live if he got traded from the Knicks.
Well, Andy calling it like it is, telling you how he feels. Right here. You only get that here on Still Knicks Fans.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but Ron, listen, I'm just gonna add this. Emmanuel Quickley, if you played NBA 2K, you might be your favorite player. He might be your favorite player. He's probably a good guy to play in 2K in the video
actually,
game.
I don't agree. I struggle with Quickley. I can't shoot with him. So
listen, I didn't play 2K for like more than a decade probably, but listen, if there's guys that's looking at the box score and his stats are good in offensive end and stuff like that, he might be a good player, easy player to play with. I don't know, but I could easily see that. But there's no emotions in that game, so from the teammates. So
Shout out to Edward Walker. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time here, appreciate you. Please like, continue to throw love in the chat, comment on whatever you want. Thank you for being here and thank you for subscribing to the show. Rogelio Cooper is in the building. Salute to you, my guy. Thank you for being here. If this is your first time, appreciate you. Hit that like button. Like I said, you feel free to comment what you would like. And thank you for subscribing to the show as well, if you have done so or if you have not. And please do if you haven't already. I usually have subscribers only mode selected, but I didn't turn it on today. So, you guys are welcome to be here in the chat, but I would appreciate it if you subscribe. So thank you. Shoot. Man, I had it and I just lost it. I don't know what it was. Something about Quickley. It's gone. It is what it is, guys. I don't know. It's lost. It's lost. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Show your love for the show. New Knicks in the building, City and Squad. Your salute. What's good, my guy? And shout out to the Organic Fanatics podcast. Please, guys, go support, like, comment, subscribe. Show them some love over there. Good guys, good show. I think you'll enjoy. Our Knicks community is jam-packed with a lot of good shows, a lot of good content. So please support everybody when you have a chance. I think that we are in a situation where there's going to be a lot of questions, and we just got to see if the Knicks answer those questions. Right? Can Quickley step up? Can he be a better teammate? Can he make better shot decisions under pressure? Will Grimes step up? Will he take his game to the next level? Will RJ put some of the inconsistency behind him? Will he possibly have what I feel will be his best Knicks season of his young career? Who knows? These are the type of questions that I think might be answered. One way or the other, they're going to be answered, I think, because I think the Knicks are ready to make moves. So I think this year is very important. Remember, Grimes will be up for a contract next year. So this year is going to be very important for Grimes. Obviously, we know it's important for Quickley. And to me, this is a make or break type year for RJ Barrett. It's not going to affect him. He's already got his money. But to me, it'll affect him whether or not he stays on this Knicks team long term. If RJ has a stinker, I think he's gone. It may not be the easiest, to move him. I'm not saying everybody's going to be knocking down the door for him, but I think the Knicks will find a way to move on from him. And, it goes to the other point. If Julius doesn't play as good, he doesn't have to have the same numbers, because I don't think Julius is going to be averaging 25 points per game. I actually hope he doesn't, because part of him averaging 25 points per game is because he shot so many threes, right? Julius Randle, and just so you guys know, so you have an idea, because we don't want to say nothing without having some factual information to back it up. Julius Randle shot, where's my totals? Here's my totals. Shot 1,985 3-point shots for the season, folks. That's like 2,000 threes. That's a lot of threes, guys. It's a lot of threes. And he made 666 of them. That's 33%. That's not a good number, okay? He was jacking up them shots, and that's in turn what helped raise his points per game average to 25. I don't want to see Julius get 25 points per game if that's how he's got to do it. You know what I mean? I'd rather him be at 23 and be more efficient. I don't need 25 and this level of efficiency. That's what I'm saying. I hope he just becomes a little bit more efficient and then works on his defense to be a little bit more effective. Maybe it has something to do with his obviously we know it has to do with his effort. Maybe it has to do with his use of his conditioning. The guy is a specimen. We know he works out great. He's in great shape. Maybe he needs to dial it down a little bit on the offense if he's going to get himself tired out and then start loafing on defense. Like, position yourself in a way that you save some energy, because you got to play both ends of the court. We need him to play both ends of the court. I used to comment all the time about Iman Shumpert. Iman Shumpert came into the league as a pretty good defender. That was one of the reasons why we drafted him. You guys remember it was Iman Shumpert, and it was the guy that Miami drafted. Oh, the young guy. I can't remember his name, but he wound up not being an offensive player at all. Damn it, I can't remember who his name. Whatever.
James Winslow,
the point is,
I think, right?
So I'm talking about. That's why Andy's here, folks. That's why he's here. That's right. It was Winslow. Look at you. And Shumpert was a pretty good, decent defender. We brought him in and we knew he was athletic. But you guys remember before Shumpert got hurt, this guy was a road runner, like running 90 miles an hour, going straight into, like, he just didn't understand that sometimes you got to slow yourself down. The NBA is faster. You got to be fast to go along with it. But he was too fast. Right. It's the same thing that kind of happened with Derrick Rose. All that fast movement and those cuts, that torque that he's putting on his legs and his knees, like, just got to slow yourself down sometimes. And eventually it ran into an injury. Now, with Julius, he's able to do all this stuff and stay relatively healthy. But I just feel like sometimes this guy tries to conserve his energy on the defensive end. And it's not good. I don't agree with it. But you see him, like, instead of him hustling, he's kind of loafing, like moving certain, like, instead of going all out and playing the defense that we know he can play, he's saving his energy on the offensive end. I don't think he's doing things the right way. But that's a coaching standpoint too. Like, coaches got to get under,
I was gonna say, Ron, I was gonna say that you could probably blame the coaches a little bit on this one. Also on the offensive efficiency. Julius Randle basically plays the whole first 12 minutes of the quarter. If you would rest him around the 8-minute mark, bench him for 2 minutes, then get him back in the game. And Sim mentions this, every time we get to this topic, that the rotations, when we didn't have Jalen Brunson, we played Julius with RJ Barrett, right? And there were times that you should mesh them. At least one of those guys should be on the court. Meanwhile, we sat both of them, and then we were losing the leads or getting deeper down behind the opposition, right? So nowadays we are sitting RJ, one of the first guys, on the bench. Then he starts the second quarter, and Julius plays the first quarter and starts the second quarter on the bench. But 12 minutes on a fully strong NBA players is a long time to play. If it was even 10 minutes, it would be still better, and he can rest. And I'm not asking him to rest, under 10 minutes, right? He can rest 2-3 minutes sometimes, and then just put him in for another 2-3 minutes, and that's going to be his first half, right? And stuff like that. So I think the kind of the rotations and the patterns, the minute patterns and stuff like that is something that Tibbs might adjust, because it's a new season, new roster. Even if it's only one player changed, still we might see, and I hope we're going to see a new pattern here, because we know that Julius can play the first whole quarter. But he also had good games, right? We wanted him to start, and we passed him the ball. He was our first, quarter scorer. If Julius had a first quarter, we were basically up, because we knew that he's going to be full strength and stuff like that. And sometimes we saw RJ. RJ basically scored most of his points in the second half. So it's plenty of things that you need to know about these players before we, just go out and talk, bunch of nonsense. Tibbs knows probably way more than we do, because he has all the, metrics, not metrics, whatever they want to call them, stats, not stat. He knows these guys better than us. So we have to have a little bit of faith on him. But if we see something really crappy, we can still point it out.
Yeah. Man, that's true. That is true. I agree with that. Shout out to Knicks One today. He said Windler needs to back up RJ and Hart at small forward on some spot situation minutes. Well, I got to tell you, I haven't really talked about him too much. I'm waiting until we get into the season and seeing what the rotation looks like and seeing how Tibbs might use Windler. But I like Windler. I've always liked Windler since the Cavs drafted him. Problem is Windler can't stay healthy. Now, I hope he'll be able to stay healthy with the Knicks, or at least healthier than he's been. And I think he can contribute. I think he instantly becomes one of the best shooters on the team. I mean, Fournier's still here, so Fournier's the best shooter, but he's definitely a close number 2 because Windler can light it up. He might be a little streaky, but when he's hot, because his college game was crazy. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know, man. I'm not putting any stock into a guy that's hurt all the time. He's hurt a lot. But we'll see. Even though I like his game, I do like him. I used to use him in 2K before anybody was touching Windler on the end of the game. I was like, yeah, this is my guy. But yes, that means I was using the Cavs. Don't listen. Don't fault me, okay? I was using the Knicks and the Cavs. I needed a second team. I don't want to talk about it. All right. But anyway, guys, if you haven't already, please tune in to the Nick of Time show. You know, they've got a collaboration, or should I say they have a collaboration with Knicks Omni fan, and they've created a show called Nick Tac Toe. It's really dope, guys. If you've seen Tic Tac Toe before, you know how the game works with the X's and the O's, right? And it's just behind each block is a Nick trivia type question. It's really cool. I put the link in the chat. You know, I'm gonna pin it right now as well. So that way, if you are interested, you can check it out. I think every Knick fan will love the show and love the opportunity possibly to be on the show. This is open to everybody, guys. So if you are interested, all you got to do is email the Nick of Time show, or Omni fans, I guess, but probably the Nick of Time show, and let them know that you'd like to be a part of the show. If you watch the show, they'll give you all the information where you can email them so that you can be on the show. It's really cool, really fun. The first episode is out with Trippy, and I forgot the other gentleman's name. Maybe it's Greg. But it was really cool to watch. And I think it's something fun to the Knick community that we haven't had. And maybe we'll do more stuff like that in the future, you know, to make things exciting for the community. But definitely check it out. It's really cool. I'm not saying that I'm going to be on the next episode. I'm not saying that.
We just recorded already.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. So, but if I pop up somewhere, if you see me, you know, anything can happen. But definitely check it out. Will Salkin is in the chat. Appreciate you, Will. Thank you for being here. Smash that like button, guys, on your way in. Smash that like button on your way out. As you guys can see, I'm with International Andy in the building. He did me the honor of gracing me with his presence, and we chopped it up today about all things Knicks as well as Fournier. You know, we had to get into some Fournier talks. So I definitely thank you guys for being here once again. Yeah, you see it. I'm gonna put some music or something to that. I just did it right now, but you know, don't worry. It's you know, we gotta get a little bit more graphical these days. We're trying our best. And oh, guys, once again, you know, thank you for tuning in and showing love to the show. I know this is, you know, Saturday. The weather is pretty decent today. You guys can be anywhere doing whatever with your families, and you're here rocking and supporting the show. So I thank you guys. And those of you who might be at work today listening, thank you for supporting us as always. And I really appreciate the love and support. Let me just check a couple final things in the chat before we get out of here. Going on 3 hours. This has been a long one. You know, we try sometimes. And thank to Andy for sticking it out this whole way, man. Appreciate you, my brother. I think I got everybody for the most part and tried to give people a chance. Danny had a question. What do you think has more improved season? Who do you think has a more improved season, Grimes or Robinson? I don't know. I'm a little curious as to what Robinson got going on. We haven't seen a lot about what Robinson is working on. Apparently, there was a post I saw on Twitter the other day. Oh, I'm sorry. on X the other day that said Robinson has been working on his post moves and his free throws. I gotta see what that means. You can work on it, but if there's no improvement, like what? No, but we gotta see what that means. If I had to guess, now, granted, if Robinson comes in and he shoots 5% more, 5% better than he was shooting, or he can add some nice post moves to his game, maybe he gets the edge, right? Because we know he's a good rebounder, he's a good defender. I think Grimes is going to have the better season, the better improvement, for the season. Andy, what's your thoughts?
I think it's going to be hard to judge because both of these guys have limited roles on the roster. They are role players, and it would really need to be a huge improvement in the practices for Tibbs to use those new skill sets that they improved in the offseason. So unless Quentin Grimes has that fast first step that he's going to catch guys off the dribble, or Robinson is going to have that post move, I don't see us as fans noticing plenty of improvement on neither of these guys. But if Grimes, like Ron said, if they're going to be shooting a higher percentage, that's what we still want, right? So I'm going to be happy with that.
Yeah. David, I see what you're saying in the chat, and I just want to say that while I understand and I agree with you that these are facts, that's what's happening, every year it's the same thing. Now, at some point, it actually is going to matter, right? I don't know if this year is that year yet. At some point, the Young Magic, the Pacers, the Pistons, Hornets stink. I am not saying the Hornets yet. Sorry, the Hornets got too much going on. The Hornets are a dysfunctional bunch. Hornets look like the old Knicks with more out of off the court antics going on over there. But but those other three, at some point they're going to get it together. Their young players are going to be a little older. They're going to add some mid to veteran pieces that really expand on those teams and make those teams good. And I agree with you, that is going to happen. I don't know if we're there yet. So for now, the Knicks have to continue to trend forward and put the best possible roster out there. But I still think the Knicks are better than all those teams you mentioned. So it don't matter to me right now. I still think, quiet as kept. I know this might sound crazy because technically, top to bottom, they may be better. I think the Knicks are better than the Cavs. Sorry. It's my opinion. I don't care.
And you played 2K with them.
Yeah, and I played 2K with them. Well, I did. That was before. I used to play with them before they got Donovan Mitchell. Sometimes I like playing with the young underdog team that doesn't have a lot of star players on the team. But now that they got the guy, I probably wouldn't use them. I just rock with the Knicks right now. Plus, the Knicks are good enough that I don't need to use any other teams. Sometimes it's tough, man, when you're using the Knicks and you're going up against the Lakers and the Knicks stink. The Knicks are better now. Now I can compete. But back then, not so much. There's only so much that I say his name all the time. Now I can't remember his name. The freaking chucker that the Knicks had. I used to use him all the time.
Quickley?
He didn't play. No. Prior to Quickley. Oh, I see what you did there. That's cool, Andy. With the T. What's his from Arizona? He did not play defense, but he could score. And then the Knicks still got rid of him, I guess because he was too much of a head case. So he wanted the ball all the time, maybe. What's his name? Oh, guys, help me in the chat. What's the guy that was on the Yeah. He was with the Knicks about 5 years ago.
Michael Beasley?
In the beginning, it was the RJ Julius Randle days. What's his name? Maybe it's not with a T. I'm just seeing T.
I was gonna say, I think you're putting us on a quagmire here with the T.
Maybe not be a T. No, damn. Knicks 100 took it back to Billy Walker. No. Way after that. Oh, what's
Trier,
his
right?
name?
Yeah, Alonso
Right,
Trier.
Alonzo Trier. See, there was a T in there. I just couldn't
Yeah.
think. Alonzo Trier. Thank you. That's him. Yeah. I used to play with those Knicks with Alonzo Trier. Let me tell you, it was some rough times. But whatever. Um, you know, we'll see what they do, guys. But I think the Knicks will be better than what people think. Once again, they always got to prove themselves. But you are the it's fair that David, you're right. Those teams will be better. Eventually, that's going to be the changing of the guard. But that's going to be a lot of teams like that are happening. You know, the Miami Heat are going to take a back step. Milwaukee is going to get worse. Golden State is in the next 3 years. They're going to lose what team they got. Who knows? In the next 3 years, Steph Curry may be gone. Uh, Klay Thompson may be gone. We don't know. You know, these guys are getting older. So this is what's happening. It's going to be a changing of the guard. Anyway, so before I get out of here, Andy, any last words? And shout out to let me see. How do I pronounce this? Well, Kuiku Ghana. Thank you. I'm sure this is my first time seeing you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. Shout out to Big. Uh, okay. Shout out to BBD in the building. Appreciate you, guy. Thank you for being here as always. I've seen you before in the chat, so thank you for being here. Smash that like button. Marcus Bias is in the building. Salute to you. Thank you for putting Alonzo Trier's name up there. Smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting the show. So thank you, John. Thank you guys. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. So Andy, final words, my brother.
Yeah, final words. Listen, I'm gonna be back on NBK in the panel really soon, because the season is starting in a couple of weeks. We're gonna start shows with Sim and the rest of the crew there really shortly. Let's say that way. What I wanted to mention also is Sim has a new channel. It's called Off the Clock Sports Talk. He has literally 78 subscribers there, but he has also 57 films there. So it's a fun channel where he's talking about sports, but not only about the Knicks, not only about the NBA. Last episode, he had a guest in the studio live. They were talking about the situation of Kevin Porter Jr. And it was, not only about basketball. They were talking over it, talking through it, a little bit more of real life stuff. I really enjoyed it. And I know that if you guys like Sim, you know how his quality of shows is, and, the topics on the front stoop or the off clock sports talk, or it's going to be a great show. And I recommend it. So if you guys could subscribe there, I know that Sim is going to be happy about it.
Yep,
And
and
Ron,
I just put that in the chat, by the way, and now I will pin
cool.
that one so you guys can subscribe to the show and show Sim some love. Obviously you guys know he's the podfather for a reason. The type of content he's done and added to our Nick community has been incredible. So please show him some love. And it's really cool stuff. He's reviewing Tyson fights and different things, and it's pretty cool. So let me pin that. Okay.
And
Go ahead,
Ron,
Andy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Ron, just to wrap it up, like you said, always a pleasure from my side, to be on your show. Like I said before, I'm gonna try to be, as much as possible. The time for me is perfect. As Saturday, it's a 6-hour difference between where I live here and you guys. So, you at 12 or 11 your time, it's going to be like 6 p.m. here. So I got plenty of time to do all the chores or the housework and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to be as much as possible with you. And it's like I said, it's a pleasure to be, a co-host on your show too.
Thank you, brother. And it's always fun to have you, man. International Andy in the building. You know how it is, guys. You know how we do. MBK Strong, SKF is here. The combination, you know how we do it. Let me do this, and let me say this. Let me throw this little precursor out there once again, guys. This is like if you were watching the show. So I know how this starts. I may have to record another one and do it for, that I could use it. It sounds a little better if I'm just playing it on any show I do. But this is just a little blurb for the NBA wrap up on Thursday nights at 8:30. So please, if you guys are interested or know anybody's interested, check this out. And by all means, send them to myself so that I can possibly get them on the show. We would love to have them. Thank you for watching the NBA wrap up. If you would like to be on the show and you are a hip hop artist or a beat maker / producer, please hit us up. Email us at the NBA wrap up at gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at _NBA_wrap_up. And stay tuned for more and more content coming from the NBA wrap up. Still Knicks fans, nothing but Knicks. Please support our shows. We appreciate you. Later. Yeah, thank you once again, guys. Ahead of time, please support the shows. And like I said, for the NBA wrap up, we are continuously trying to bring you a different. And I know this is Knick channel, and you guys really care about the Knicks, but the show is broken up into two parts, right? The first part of the show, we're talking about the NBA, and some Knicks talk will be within that, right? Depending on what's happening throughout the season. And then the second part of the show is the hip hop portion. So you don't got to be a Knicks fan. You could be a fan of the WNBA. You could be a fan of cricket, badminton. It doesn't matter. As long as you're a hip hop fan, you can like that second part of the show. Tune in because we're going to be continuing to try to bring in young artists or older artists who have a craft and are into rapping or making beats. You might see guys that come on the show that are just beat makers, not just, should I say, that are beat makers. We talk to them about their craft of creating beats and stuff like that. So please tune in. And then obviously, hopefully, the more and more the shows continue to go on, yes, of course, our goal is to try to get some established hip hop talent. We might try to get Fat Joe. You never know. Jigga Man might show up. You know what I mean? Nas might be free. Maybe. You know what I mean? Listen, who knows? Who knows? Now, but definitely the point is to try to continue to build the show up and then be able to also bring in your occasional star as well, to talk about their life and times in hip hop. And this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop too. So, what better time to do all of this and really get into the weeds of hip hop and display great talent. We've already had great talent within the community. Last week's show, we had last week's show, we had Apollo Reed from the Guard Up Knicks crew. If you guys haven't checked up Guard Up Knicks, please do. It's Apollo. It's Rick the Ruler. It's my guy Joe. It's his brother Andre that have the Guard Up Knicks podcast. And Apollo is very talented. He went on there and he kicked the acapella. We played a joint from his EP. Very talented. And then the week prior to that, we had another talented guy. Guy Boogie Black. And then and before that we had DJ Shuttle. And DJ Shuttle's story was incredible. I mean, this guy's a DJ. Who knew he rapped? Who knew he was signed with Leaders of the New School and part of that clique? And Dinko D from Leaders of the New School found them, and they were all under the Public Enemy, Leaders of the New School umbrella from Long Island. That's crazy. That's a crazy story. So definitely, tune in. You never know what you're gonna find out, because I was shocked myself. It was a really dope interview. So that's it, guys. That's my whole spiel. Like I said, we're continuing to try to give you more and more content, continuing to build, and just stay tuned, because the other thing is happening is obviously, on Still Knick fans, everything we do, we try to get into seasons. And so there's going to be a new season of the NBA, new season of the Knicks. So expect some new season of Know the Ledge, new season of SKF Weekly. So stay tuned for all that good stuff. We're trying here. Oh, man, that was a mouthful. And guys, once again, I haven't been able to get too crazy with you. You guys have been pretty safe, but some of this stuff in the chat is a little wild. So I might say you guys need to calm down.
See if I know the ledge.
Because you're jumping out the window. There's some wild stuff I've seen in this chat today, but I'm not highlighting it. You guys are okay. It's all right. When we get into the season, I'm going to have to put a chair next to me, you know, and there's be therapy sessions going on here, I guess. I don't know. You guys, you guys are getting a little wild. It's going to be okay. Well, anyway, Andy, once again, you enjoy the rest of your night, brother. Thank you for being here with me. I look forward to seeing you on NBK. And obviously, you're always welcome to come back. I look forward to chopping it up with you more on the weekend. Definitely. Thank you to the chat. You guys have been great. Smash that like button on your way out. And tune into whatever we got going on. As I always say, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still, Knicks fans, we'll be back again, whether it be on Saturdays for Know the Ledge at 11:30-ish or whatever. Mondays for SKF Weekly at 9 p.m. And then Thursdays for the NBA wrap-up on the Nothing But Knicks channel at 8:30 p.m. We will see you. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We out.
Peace.
We out of here once again. Take care.
Take care, bro.